Welcome to Crime for Sleep. Before we begin, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Story 1, the costume shop was winding down, selling its remnants of the past. Among the fading items, a woman discovered a mask on a forgotten shelf. Its intricate features held an uncanny resemblance to life. Placing it on the counter, the cashier hesitated. "That's not from here," he muttered, puzzled. With no tag in sight, she shrugged and carried it home. That night, a gentle sound stirred her awake, a whisper of fabric moving. The mask had vanished from its place on the dresser, now perched on her nightstand, staring at her. The woman, known as Catherine Reed, was later found by her neighbor. The front door ajar, morning light spilling into the shadowed home. Instead of returning a borrowed book, the neighbor stumbled upon a scene that would puzzle investigators for years. Catherine lay still on her bedroom floor, the mask nowhere to be seen. Detective Morgan arrived as forensics documented the haunting scene. Shutters clicked softly against murmured voices. No signs of forced entry, an officer observed, jotting notes. The detective surveyed the room, noting subtle details others might overlook. A drawer slightly open, a lipstick-stained water glass. Everything seemed ordinary except for the woman forever at rest. The medical examiner, with a solemn expression, noted the uncertainty of the cause of death. No visible injuries, no signs of a struggle. Gesturing to her face, he remarked, "Notice the fear etched into her features." Kneeling closer, the detective whispered, "Something frightened her to her demise." Catherine, an art appraiser leading a quiet life, was known for her keen eye and passion for authenticity. Colleagues spoke of her talent for spotting deception. She could detect a forgery in an instant, her boss recalled during questioning. The detective pondered whether this skill had led to her tragic end. Surveillance footage from the costume shop unveiled an oddity. The cashier's perplexed reaction to the mask's raised eyebrows, summoning the owner, who adamantly denied its origin. Though the audio was unclear, lip-reading experts confirmed his words. "We never stocked anything like this." Visiting the now vacant shop, the detective confronted the anxious owner. "The mask appeared during our clearance sale. Its origin remains a mystery. It wasn't part of our inventory." Under pressure, he confessed, such occurrences occurred occasionally after acquiring items from a deceased collector's estate sale under peculiar circumstances. Progress came when forensics discovered microscopic fibers on Catherine's fingertips. "She gripped something," the technician explained. "These fibers are unique, not modern materials. A blend of human hair and an unknown organic substance unmatched in any database." The investigation unraveled similar deaths over the years. Each victim had acquired a peculiar mask before their demise, their faces frozen in terror. Each case remained unsolved. A retired detective, familiar with such cases, shared a chilling revelation. Meeting in a dimly lit room, he slid a weathered file across the table. "We found inscriptions within each mask, hidden behind the lining," he disclosed. "Ancient symbols tied to a ritual of soul transference." A breakthrough emerged from an unexpected source. A journal concealed behind a loose board in Catherine's apartment. Her final entry spoke of a lurking presence, researching the mask's origins after the cashier's odd reaction. Her findings linked it to a series of mysterious deaths. "The mask moves," she penned frantically. "It watches me as I sleep." Inside, markings matching unsolved cases. The collector perished the same way. Each mask claims a life before moving on, seeking a new host once recognized. Gathering the pieces, the fibers, Catherine's notes, the pattern of deaths, the cause of death was determined. Cardiac arrest from extreme fear. What terror could stop a heart? The case took a disturbing turn with overlooked surveillance footage. A figure exiting Catherine's home in the night, a mask adorning its face, her distinct gait distorted, mechanical, as if someone wore her movements like a clumsy disguise. A search for the missing mask ensued but surfaced months later in a distant vintage shop. Sold before investigators arrived with the buyer's identity unrecorded, the case remains unsolved. The detective safeguards Catherine's journal, a whispered truth kept from official records. At night, she startles awake, sensing a watchful gaze. Securing her home, she pushes away thoughts of the mask, waiting to entwine its fate with another, perpetuating a cycle centuries old. The mask lingered, yearning to be discovered once more. And when it is, another soul will awaken to its silent approach, empty sockets fixed upon them, hungry for the essence behind their eyes. Story 2. In the stillness of the night, a flicker danced across the baby monitor's screen, a momentary glitch that caught the mother's attention. Brushing it off as mere interference, she continued with her nightly routine. But then a crackling of static filled the room and a soft, eerie voice whispered, "SHHH, go back to sleep." A chill ran down her spine, her heart quickening its pace in her chest. Rushing to her son's room, dread clawing at her insides, she found the crib empty, the room silent except for the echo of her own panicked breaths. The window remained shut, the door securely locked. The only anomaly was a stuffed rabbit lying on the floor, its dark eyes seeming to hold a secret. In a frenzy of fear and disbelief, she screamed until her voice grew hoarse, the sound of her anguish piercing the night. The neighbors, stirred from their slumber by her cries, quickly dialed for help. When the authorities arrived, they discovered her cradling the rabbit, her eyes glazed with shock, rocking back and forth on the nursery floor. Samuel, her sweet 4-month-old baby, had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a void that swallowed her whole. The investigation that followed was shrouded in mystery, with no clear leads to follow. There were no signs of forced entry, no alarms triggered, just the lingering presence of that haunting voice on the baby monitor. Speculations swirled like shadows in the night. Whispers of suspicion surrounded Rebecca, the grieving mother. Her strained marriage, her battle with postpartum depression all painted her as a likely culprit in the eyes of the doubting community. But the truth was yet to unveil its intricate layers. A breakthrough came in the form of tiny fibers found on the windowsill, foreign to the household, hinting at a skilled intruder's entry from outside. The focus shifted, revealing glimpses of a dark figure moving stealthily through the night, leaving behind only faint traces of their presence. Daniel, the absent father, returned to a storm of accusations and doubts. His newfound hobby of rock climbing, his secretive calls, and hidden past unraveled under the scrutiny of investigators. A tangled web of deceit and betrayal began to unfurl. The baby monitor, once a source of comfort, now held the key to the twisted puzzle. Hacked and manipulated, it had been the conduit for a sinister plan to snatch Samuel from his crib. The digital breadcrumbs led the investigators to a chilling discovery, a woman named Elaine, harboring a past intertwined with Daniel's in ways no one could have foreseen. Elaine, haunted by loss and longing, had orchestrated the abduction driven by a desperate desire to reclaim what she had lost. The threads of deception, woven meticulously over time, finally unraveled, exposing the dark hearts behind the innocent facade. As the truth came to light, the courtroom trembled with the weight of betrayal. The enhanced audio from the baby monitor echoed hauntingly, revealing a hidden truth in the whispers of the night. Daniel's cough, a damning echo of his presence at the scene, shattered the last remnants of doubt. Justice, though delayed, found its mark. Daniel and Elaine faced the consequences of their actions, their fates sealed by their own deceit. Rebecca, scarred but resilient, chose to forge a new path, far from the shadows of the past. The baby monitor, silent witness to the truth, now lay dormant, a symbol of both deception and redemption. Samuel, unaware of the darkness that once gripped his life, would grow up bathed in the light of a new dawn. And as Rebecca tucked away the stuffed rabbit, its eyes holding the secrets of that fateful night, she found solace in the quiet whispers of the night, knowing that sometimes, even in the darkest of moments, the truth will find its way to the surface. Story 3. In the stillness of a quiet suburban neighborhood, a mysterious package arrived in the mail for Sarah Miller. Nestled within a plain envelope with no return address was a single brass key, its surface weathered by the passage of time. As Sarah held the key in her hand, a strange sense of familiarity washed over her, though she couldn't place why. With a curious mix of trepidation and intrigue, Sarah began to test the key in every lock of her home, hoping to unravel the mystery it held. But with each click and turn, the locks remained unmoved, refusing to yield to the brass key's touch. It was a key without a home, without a purpose in Sarah's world. Perplexed, Sarah placed the key gently on her coffee table, a silent reminder of the enigma that had found its way into her life. And then, in a moment that defied logic, the old grandfather clock standing in the hallway emitted a single, eerie chime, a sound that hadn't graced the house in years, for the clock had long been still and broken. Feeling a shiver of unease crawl down her spine, Sarah knew she couldn't ignore the peculiar events unfolding around her. With a sense of foreboding, she reached out to the authorities, reporting the oddity of the key's arrival and the unsettling chiming of the clock. Initially met with skepticism, the responding officer viewed the key as a trivial matter, a mere mistake in the mail. But Sarah's intuition whispered that something darker lurked beneath the surface, a truth waiting to be unveiled. Reluctantly, the officer took the brass key into custody, unaware of the chain of events it would set in motion. As the case found its way to Detective Robert Harmon, a seasoned investigator with a keen eye for the subtle nuances of human nature, the brass key sat innocuously on his desk, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. Delving into Sarah's background revealed a life devoid of suspicion, a retired teacher, a widow, a mother, a pillar of the community. Forensic analysis offered no solace, no answers hidden within the worn grooves of the key. The trail seemed cold, the puzzle unsolvable. But Detective Harmon's instincts whispered otherwise, urging him to dig deeper, to unravel the threads of the past woven into the present. And then a breakthrough shimmered on the horizon like a distant beacon of light. Running the key's unique pattern through the department's database unearthed a connection to a cold case, a storage unit tainted with blood, shadows of unspeakable horrors, and the haunting images of unidentified women captured in frozen moments of time. The key became a bridge to the past, a key that unlocked a Pandora's box of secrets long buried in darkness. As the investigation spiraled into a vortex of uncertainty and dread, Sarah found herself at the epicenter of a storm she could never have foreseen. The name Harold Jenkins emerged from the shadows of obscurity, a phantom from the past haunting the present. His presence, like a specter looming over Sarah's life, sent ripples of fear through the once tranquil neighborhood. Jenkins, a man of mystery and malevolence, had left a trail of unanswered questions in his wake, a puzzle with missing pieces waiting to be found. As the investigation deepened, the truth unfurled its wings, revealing a web of deceit and depravity that had long remained hidden from prying eyes. The keys, the brass keys engraved with names and dates, whispered tales of horror and tragedy, a silent testimony to the lives lost and the souls shattered by one man's twisted desires. Jenkins, the keymaster, a name that echoed through the annals of infamy, a shadow cast upon the innocence of the unsuspecting. In a race against time, authorities hunted Jenkins, a predator lurking in the shadows of society, a ghost with blood on his hands and darkness in his soul. The manhunt unfolded like a macabre dance, a deadly game of cat and mouse played out on a stage of fear and uncertainty. And then the final act, the confrontation, the reckoning, the moment of truth. Jenkins, cornered and desperate, chose to embrace the darkness rather than face the light of justice. In his final breath, he left behind a legacy of terror and sorrow, a legacy that would haunt the living long after his name had faded into oblivion. For Sarah, the nightmare had passed, but the scars remained a reminder of the fragility of life, the thin veil that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, the light from the darkness. As the dust settled and the echoes of the past faded into silence, the brass keys lay dormant in their silent repose, a testament to the lives lost and the souls saved, a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects hold the darkest secrets, waiting to be unlocked by those brave enough to seek the truth. Story 4. The town harbored a secret about the house on the edge of the woods. It stood in solitude, its windows veiled in darkness, the porch weary from the weight of time. No one laid claim to it, no memory lingered of its builder. But when a band of wanderers meandered too near, they stumbled upon an enigma, names etched into the wooden siding, carved deep like cryptic messages. At the very end of the list, freshly carved and untouched by weather, sat a name unfamiliar to all. Until a whisper broke the silence, "That name is mine." The call arrived under the cloak of night. Dispatch logged it as a routine trespassing incident. The voice at the other end belonged to Mason Wright, the leader of the hikers who uncovered his own name etched onto the forsaken house. The responding officers anticipated mere juvenile mischief, a prank among comrades, but what awaited them defied rational explanation. Detective Sarah Keller arrived as the shadows lengthened in the forest. Her flashlight pierced the darkness, revealing the aged facade of the structure. The names, 27 in total, ran vertically down the eastern wall. Some faded with time, nearly indiscernible against the weathered wood. Others remained sharp, as if freshly carved, and at the base, Mason Wright, the incision still fragrant with the scent of sawdust. "I've never set foot here before," Mason insisted, his breath forming mist in the chilly air. "I cannot fathom how anyone would know my name." The investigation commenced with thorough background checks on each name listed. The findings sent shivers down the spines of the detective team. Every name belonged to an individual reported missing over the past 4 decades. Some cases had gone cold, others remained open. Yet all shared a chilling similarity: the vanished individuals were last seen hiking alone. Forensic experts meticulously photographed each carving, documenting the varying depths, techniques, and weathering patterns. The oldest name, Rebecca Hansen, aligned with a missing persons case from 37 years prior. The case files recounted the tale of a young woman who ventured into these woods and never returned. Search parties recovered naught but a lone hiking boot beside a babbling brook. Detective Keller delved into Mason's background extensively. His narrative remained unwavering. He bore no ties to the area beyond this particular hiking expedition with 4 college comrades. They had selected the trail at random, guided by an online suggestion. Nothing in Mason's history linked him to any of the other names adorning the wall. The focus of the investigation shifted to Mason's companions. Emily Chen, the group's photographer, provided snapshots taken during their journey. Upon scrutiny, analysts spotted a disconcerting anomaly, a blurred figure lurking in the background of three distinct photographs. Form resembled a tall, slender man, always partially obscured by the foliage. "We encountered no one else on the trail," Emily asserted. "We would have remembered." Detective Keller sanctioned a search of the house's interior. The dwelling appeared deserted, dust cloaked every surface, furniture lay shattered and scattered. Yet in the basement, officers stumbled upon a harrowing sight. Personal effects belonging to the missing hikers were meticulously arranged on wooden shelves: watches, backpacks, cameras. Wallets, each item labeled with a corresponding name from the external wall. Forensic technicians meticulously cataloged every piece of evidence. Beneath ultraviolet light, splotches of blood materialized on the concrete floor, traces of years past that someone had endeavored to erase. Ground-penetrating radar yielded no bodies concealed beneath the house, yet cadaver dogs repeatedly alerted near the rear of the property where the forest thickened. As the inquiry escalated, Detective Keller observed peculiar conduct from Mason Wright. He reported peculiar incidents, whispers at his doorstep, footprints leading to but not from his abode in fresh snow, shadowy figures observing from the street. The department assigned an officer to safeguard him, yet Mason's paranoia swelled. A breakthrough arose when researchers exhumed land records buried within county archives. The house had belonged to a recluse named Victor Blackwood. Neighbors seldom glimpsed him, recounting brief encounters with an unsettlingly tall, gaunt man who shunned conversation. Blackwood vanished without a trace 15 years prior, his disappearance left uninvestigated. Detective Keller secured a warrant to delve deeper into the encompassing forest. The search party uncovered a network of rudimentary hunting blinds strategically stationed along popular hiking routes. Within one blind, they unearthed a journal brimming with meticulous observations, accounts of hikers, their paths, gear, and routines. The penmanship mirrored samples from Victor Blackwood's scant existing documents. The journal entries evolved into something sinister over time. Initial pages chronicled hunting methods for animals. Subsequent entries depicted humans as prey, their behaviors, vulnerabilities, and Blackwood's strategies for their collection. The final pages detailed elaborate chronicles of stalking each victim on the wall, inclusive of intricate descriptions of how he singled out his quarry. The manhunt for Blackwood spanned across multiple jurisdictions. Helicopters equipped with thermal imaging canvassed the forest. Tactical squads combed every crevice and cavern, yet the suspect eluded capture. Mason Wright ceased answering calls. Officers dispatched to his residence found the door unlocked, the rooms vacant. On his bedroom wall, freshly carved, appeared a solitary inscription: "The hunter becomes the hunted." The search for Mason persisted fruitlessly for weeks. Then, during a secondary sweep of Blackwood's abode, forensic technicians unearthed a chilling revelation. Concealed behind a false wall in the basement lay a small workshop housing woodworking tools, jars of wood preservatives, and a freshly carved wooden piece bearing a novel name yet to be affixed to the exterior wall. Detective Keller recognized the name instantly. It belonged to the chief forensic technician who had processed the house during the initial investigation. The technician had called in sick that morning and remained unreachable by phone. Authorities established an unyielding surveillance perimeter around the house. Cameras monitored every approach. Motion sensors tracked for intruders. The trap was set. 3 nights later, sensors triggered an alert. Security footage captured a figure emerging from the forest, unnaturally tall and slender, moving with an eerie grace. The figure advanced directly towards the house, seemingly unperturbed by the surveillance. As tactical teams closed in, the cameras briefly lost connection. When the system rebooted, the figure had vanished. The house endures continuous surveillance to this day. Mason Wright and the forensic technician were never located. The investigation endures, with fresh resources allocated as similar disappearances surface in other wooded regions. The names on the wall have transcended into legend among law enforcement. Some officers abstain from uttering them aloud, others shun the case entirely, and local hikers now circumvent the house, fearful that even speaking of it might somehow consign their names to that dreadful list the names no tongue dares to articulate. Story 5. The old house had sat untouched for years, a silent sentinel to a mystery long forgotten by most. Whispers from the neighbors spoke of a young woman who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a haunting absence that lingered in the empty rooms. When the new tenants arrived, eager to breathe life back into the neglected walls, they found the bedroom door stubbornly locked from within. With a creak and a groan, they forced their way in, greeted by the musty embrace of stale air heavy with the weight of time. The room appeared frozen in a moment long past bed neatly made, mirror polished to a sheen. Yet a sense of unease hung in the stillness like a shroud. A single candle stood vigil on the desk, its wax reduced to a mere puddle of forgotten flames, frozen tears of light in the darkness. And there, amidst the quiet chaos, lay a notebook, its pages whispering secrets in fresh ink. The final entry, dated the night of her disappearance, beckoned with a chilling certainty. Detective Morgan delved into the depths of the notebook, each page a thread in the tapestry of a life interrupted. The handwriting, precise and measured, belonged to Elise Winters, a name lost to time until now. Her words danced across the paper, a silent plea echoing through the years, until they halted abruptly in a crescendo of fear. "I know he's watching me tonight," the inked confession cried out. "The same car circles like a vulture, unseen eyes tracking my every move. I've called for aid, but the shadows swallow my words. If fate should find me, know that it was no chance encounter." The detective closed the book, a tangible relic of a voice silenced by the unknown. Dust mingled with a hint of something more insidious, a scent that spoke of secrets buried deep within the walls. The landlord lingered at the threshold, a ghostly figure in the fading light, haunted by the specter of the unlocked door that should have led to nowhere. Elise, once a paralegal in a world of high-stakes dealings and whispered betrayals, had stumbled upon a truth too dangerous to ignore. Her colleagues spoke of a woman consumed by a revelation, a truth that set her on a path destined for shadows and whispers. The room yielded no answers, only more questions shrouded in silence. No signs of struggle marred the pristine facade, no crimson stains to betray the violence that had torn her from their midst. It was as if she had simply stepped away, leaving behind a ghostly impression of a life interrupted. As the investigation unfolded, hidden truths came to light like shadows creeping from the corners. Fingers danced across surfaces, seeking solace in the remnants of a life shattered by greed and deceit. And there, beneath the watchful gaze of a silent candle, a hidden trove awaited discovery. A flash drive, a key, a gateway to a world beyond the confines of the room. A labyrinth of deceit unraveled before their eyes, each piece a puzzle in the grand design of corruption. The truth, once buried, now lay bare for all to see. The recordings whispered of sins long kept in the shadows, of voices entwined in a dance of deception. Elise's words echoed in the darkness, a testament to the price of silence in the face of injustice. The truth, once obscured, emerged like a phoenix from the ashes of deceit. Justice, a silent specter in the night, stalked the halls of power with a steady hand and unwavering gaze. The guilty trembled in the face of their crimes laid bare, their ivory towers crumbling with each revelation. And in the quiet of the courtroom, a mother's voice rose like a hymn of remembrance, a eulogy to a daughter lost but never forgotten. Elise's legacy lived on in the truths she unearthed, a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness. The house, once a sanctuary for secrets long buried, stood silent once more, a testament to the power of a single voice in a world of shadows. The whispers of the past lingered in the air, a reminder that justice, though delayed, would always find a way to be heard. And in the stillness of the night, a light flickered in the upstairs window, a silent vigil to a life cut short but never silenced. "The story's sick." The worn wooden plank shifted under her weight, drawing her focus downward. Intrigued, she knelt and traced the edges of the loose board, sensing a hidden secret beneath. With gentle determination, she lifted the boards, unveiling a shadowy, narrow cavity beneath her home. Dust and cobwebs greeted her sight initially, but soon shapes emerged from the darkness. A mattress, a chair, and nestled in a corner, a weathered notebook filled with repetitions of a single name her own. Detective Morgan Reed observed quietly as Sarah Coleman peered into the abyss beneath her new abode, a flicker of fear dancing in her eyes, hinting at a deeper unease beyond merely uncovering a concealed chamber. It was a violation of security, an intrusion of malevolence into what should have been a fresh start for Sarah. "Don't disturb anything," Detective Reed cautioned, her voice steady yet commanding. Clicking on her flashlight, she illuminated more of the hidden space, revealing walls adorned with surveillance photographs, images of Sarah going about her daily routines, captured in secret. A shrine of obsession concealed beneath the very ground she walked upon. Sarah had purchased the quaint cottage from the estate of a solitary man named Walter Green, who had passed away with no known kin. The property had sat empty for months before Sarah's acquisition. The listing had painted it as charming and in need of minor touch-ups, with no hint of the hidden chamber below. "I never met him, the previous owner," Sarah murmured. "The neighbors said he was reclusive. I was told the basement was sealed off long ago. That's what the inspection report indicated." The crime scene investigators arrived, their equipment resonating against the wooden floor as they entered. They meticulously documented the scene, collecting evidence and extracting the mattress, chair, and notebook from the concealed space. Forensic experts later uncovered numerous fingerprints, all belonging to Walter Green, scattered throughout the chamber. What unsettled the investigators most was the timeline they reconstructed. Through utility records and dated photographs, it became clear that Walter had been surveilling Sarah for at least 3 years prior to his demise. He had shadowed her at community events, trailed her at the grocery store, and even frequented the cafe where she occasionally worked. Yet Sarah had no memory of ever encountering him. This level of fixation often progresses, the department psychologist explained during a debriefing. The fixation evolves from fantasy to strategy. The hidden chamber suggests he was preparing for a more direct approach. Detective Reed's inquiry took a twist when she interviewed Walter's former coworker from the maintenance department at the local shopping center. The man appeared uneasy, toying with his wedding ring throughout their conversation. Walter mentioned her sometimes, he confessed. Said she reminded him of someone. "I thought it was harmless infatuation. I never imagined." His voice trailed off, his gaze fixed on his hands. "Did he ever discuss any plans involving her?" Reed inquired. "Not plans exactly, but he had this phrase he'd repeat, about how she belongs with me. I assumed it was just talk." Reed secured a warrant to search Walter's workplace locker, untouched since his passing. Inside, they discovered a key that didn't correspond to any locks in his home. The serial number led them to a storage unit registered in his name. The metallic door of the unit screeched upward, revealing replicas of furniture from Sarah's former apartment, her bed, desk, and even her living room setup meticulously duplicated. A mannequin sporting a wig mimicking Sarah's hairstyle sat at the replicated desk. The calendar on the wall bore a circled date just a week after Walter's sudden demise from a heart attack, with a single word etched across it: together. It surfaced that Walter had been institutionalized in his youth due to an obsession with a female teacher. His records indicated treatment for erotomania, an irrational belief that someone is in love with the subject despite evidence to the contrary. Released into society, he lived uneventfully for decades until something about Sarah reignited his old fixations. At the precinct, Reed spread crime scene photos across the conference table. He passed away convinced they shared a special bond. They were destined to be together. Could she have crossed paths with him somewhere, triggered this obsession? A colleague inquired. Reed shook her head. No evidence of that. Sometimes these obsessions require very little. A passing smile, a brief lingering gaze. For someone with his background, that could have been all it took. Sarah opted to sell the house, unable to find solace within its walls. During the final walkthrough with her real estate agent, she stood in the living room, arms wrapped around herself. "I can't shake the thought of what might have transpired if he hadn't passed away then," she whispered. "If I hadn't noticed that loose floorboard, how long would I have dwelled here, oblivious to his watchful eyes, unaware of the secrets buried beneath my feet?" Following Walter's death, the case was closed, labeled as stalking with intent to abduct, although the abduction itself never materialized. The psychological assessment of the evidence indicated Walter had intended to confine Sarah in either the hidden chamber or the storage unit. Sarah relocated, altering her routines and guarding her personal information more closely. Detective Reed sporadically checked in on her, a silent acknowledgement of how narrowly Sarah had averted becoming another statistic, another casualty. The cottage exchanged hands, now belonging to a young couple unaware of its past. The concealed chamber was sealed, the floorboards replaced. Life moved forward. Yet for those privy to the truth, the tale of the hidden room beneath the floor served as a haunting reminder of the unseen perils, of monsters who vanish before capture, and of victims oblivious to the peril that once lurked so near. Story 7. The apartment lay dormant for months, its silence undisturbed by human presence. When the new tenants ventured in, their expectations were modest, perhaps a layer of dust, remnants of forgotten belongings. Yet one door remained steadfastly closed, resisting all attempts to reveal its secrets. A closet locked from within, harboring a mystery that beckoned to be unraveled. With a forceful push, the landlord breached the stubborn barrier, anticipating a mundane discovery of old garments or discarded items. Instead, a chilling sight greeted their eyes. The walls bore witness to a silent symphony of desperation, etched in deep, jagged lines upon the wooden canvas. And nestled in the corner, a relic of the past, a vintage flip phone, its screen aglow with a single unread message, a ghostly whisper frozen in time. Detective Morgan Shaw, seasoned in the art of deciphering darkness, felt a shiver crawl down her spine at the sight before her. It wasn't the absence of blood or overt violence that unsettled her, but the haunting tale those scratch marks silently narrated, a tale of confinement, of a struggle against invisible chains. "We need forensics on site immediately," she commanded her partner, Officer Reed, who diligently captured the eerie markings through his lens. "And fetch me the records of the previous tenants." The message on the phone, stark in its simplicity, spoke volumes with its cryptic words. "I know what you did." The landlord, a man perpetually on edge, shared scant details about the enigmatic former tenant, a young woman who vanished without a trace, leaving behind unpaid rent. Quiet, kept to herself, left about 6 moons ago, he muttered, his gaze skirting the closet as if fearful of what lurked within. As forensic analysis delved into the secrets hidden within the scratches, a grim truth began to unfurl. Traces of blood, predominantly belonging to a single individual presumed to be the missing tenant, Emma Caldwell, painted a macabre picture. Yet amidst the familiar DNA, 2 anomalies emerged, one unidentified, the other belonging to a man long declared deceased. "This defies logic," Shaw murmured as she pored over the perplexing findings. Derek Mercer, a name synonymous with a tragic end, now imprinted on the walls of Emma's sanctuary. The puzzle deepened, intertwining the fates of the living and the presumed dead in a sinister dance of deceit. Emma's abode whispered tales of interrupted routines, a sanctuary frozen in time, a life put on hold. Unanswered calls, a sister left in the void of silence, and the ominous presence of an unnamed caller preceding her disappearance. Emma spoke of a mysterious bow, Reed relayed, unveiling a fragment of the enigma. No name, just intense and private. Surveillance footage, a silent witness to clandestine movements, captured Emma's final steps into the shadows, trailed by a shadowy figure obscured beneath a cap. A man with a past that defied the boundaries of mortality. The missing piece of the puzzle, hidden in the innocuous doorknob, bore the imprint of a ghost, Derek Mercer's fingerprints, a spectral echo from the beyond. He staged his demise, Shaw deduced, connecting the dots of a malevolent scheme. But for what purpose, and how does Emma fit into his twisted narrative? The enigma deepened as a new thread emerged, weaving together the fates of the lost. Lynette Porter, a name relegated to the past, resurfaced in a haunting echo. Her essence lingered in the shadows, a spectral presence linked to Emma's cryptic voyage. A trail of breadcrumbs led the investigators to a secluded estate, shrouded in the darkness of untold horrors. Behind the imposing doors of the basement, a frail figure emerged, Lynette Porter, a survivor of unspeakable torment, a mirror image of Emma's harrowing ordeal. "He made me witness," her voice, a fragile whisper, carried the weight of untold suffering. "He taught me the price of defiance, the agony of fleeting hope in a world devoid of light." The pieces of the puzzle fit snugly into a mosaic of malevolence journals chronicling Mercer's descent into darkness, photographs of souls lost in his twisted game, and the damning evidence of Emma's final moments captured on film. "He thought she'd keep his secrets," his voice echoed through the chamber of horrors, a chilling testament to a mind steeped in shadow. "But no one defies me, no one escapes my grasp." The manhunt for Derek Mercer spanned realms, a relentless pursuit of justice in a world tainted by his presence. While the authorities combed the shadows for his elusive figure, the architects of the mind crafted a portrait of a soul adrift in the abyss of cruelty. As Mercer's capture loomed on the horizon, a new identity clutched in his grasp. The remnants of his past whispered tales of impending doom. A roll of duct tape, a gleaming blade of malice, and a fading memory of Emma's vanished existence nestled in his bag, a silent witness to his deeds. During the interrogation, Mercer, a maestro of deception, maintained an eerie calmness, as if privy to a truth known only to him. "She penned her own demise," he remarked, a shard of ice in his words. She craved salvation, yet salvation eluded her grasp. The trial, a theater of justice, uncovered the intricate web of deceit Mercer had spun, a tapestry of lies woven with threads of darkness. His fate sealed by the damning evidence, his smile, a fleeting shadow of satisfaction in a realm devoid of remorse. In the hallowed halls of justice, Lynette Porter stood tall, her voice a beacon of resilience amidst the shadows. He trapped us in a prison of his making, her words echoed with a defiant grace. But while he languishes in darkness, I shall dance in the light of freedom. The legacy of the case reverberated through the corridors of law enforcement, reshaping protocols and shedding light on the shadows that lurked within seemingly mundane abodes. Detective Shaw, a guardian of truth, preserved a fragment of Emma's tale, a reminder that horrors unseen often leave the deepest scars, etched in the silent cries of those fighting to break free. Story 8: The Enigmatic Manor. The new occupants of the Grand Victorian Manor found themselves intrigued by a peculiar feature, the crackling intercom system that seemed to come to life late at night. A remnant from a bygone era, forgotten yet still operational. It was as if the house itself was trying to communicate with them. One evening, the husband, overcome by curiosity, pressed the button on the intercom. A faint whisper crackled through the speaker, sending a shiver down his spine. "Why did you come back?" The words echoed in the dimly lit room, leaving him unsettled. His wife, standing silently behind him, insisted she never spoke those words. The manor stood surrounded by ancient oak trees, its exterior bearing the marks of time while hiding a modern interior. Daniel and Meredith Parker had been drawn to the property by its rich history, despite the unease that seemed to linger within its walls. Detective Sarah Reeves arrived at the manor in response to a call about a possible break-in. Yet there was a sense in the air that there was more to the story than met the eye. Daniel, with a haunted look in his eyes, led the detective through the imposing foyer, where the whispers of the intercom system seemed to linger. In the living room, Meredith sat tense and silent, her grip on a steaming cup betraying her inner turmoil. Without preamble, she revealed a startling discovery, a hidden compartment behind a wall where a small journal wrapped in decayed plastic lay forgotten. The journal belonged to Alina, the previous owner, and her words chronicled a tale of suspicion and fear towards her husband, Vincent. The mystery deepened as the entries hinted at a tragic end to Alina's story, leaving a chilling legacy within the manor's walls. As Detective Reeves delved into the past, the truth slowly unraveled. Vincent and Alina Blackwood's dark history came to light, revealing a tale of betrayal and murder that had remained hidden for decades. Forensic evidence uncovered human remains buried beneath the garden shed, confirming Alina's tragic fate. Vincent's carefully orchestrated deception crumbled as the truth emerged, leading to his confession and subsequent conviction for murder. The house, a silent witness to the past, had finally revealed its secrets. Daniel and Meredith, unable to bear the weight of the manor's dark history, chose to part ways with the property, leaving behind the echoes of the past that haunted its halls. As the intercom system was dismantled by the new owners, workers reported hearing faint whispers and static, a lingering reminder of the house's enigmatic past. Detective Reeves, closing the case file for the Blackwood investigation, pondered the mysteries that the manor held within its walls. Driving past the manor on her way home, Detective Reeves would occasionally slow down, the window cracked open, listening for any whispers carried on the breeze. The house had answered back, its secrets now laid bare for all to hear, a haunting tale of love and betrayal that echoed through the ages. Story 9. The motel stood weathered, a relic of the past, a transient stop for weary travelers. The receptionist handed her the key with a peculiar expression. "Just avoid the final door on the left," he murmured cryptically. Intrigue tugged at her curiosity. That evening, navigating the dimly illuminated corridor, she hesitated in front of it. The doorknob sent a chill through her fingers. Superficially, the door appeared no different from its neighbors until she pressed her ear against it. A faint breath whispered from the other side. Detective Morgan Reed blinked away drowsiness, slipping beneath the yellow tape barring entry to the crime scene. The metallic tang assaulted her senses, first a familiar scent of blood. Stains marred the thin carpet, merging with its murky design. The room bore a stark contrast, a pristine bathroom, an undisturbed bed, and the grim scene in between. A young woman lay sprawled on the floor, her golden locks splayed like a halo. Her vacant gaze fixed on the ceiling, frozen in a silent scream of shock or fear. Reed knelt beside the victim, mindful not to disturb the evidence markers dotting the area. "Third case this season," remarked the forensic specialist, his tone devoid of emotion as he documented the scene. "Same modus operandi," Reed nodded solemnly. The victim adorned expensive attire, a stark contrast to the shabby motel. A designer handbag lay open on the nightstand, its contents undisturbed. This wasn't a crime of theft, something deeper drove the killer. The motel manager lingered anxiously in the doorway, his complexion pallid. "She checked in alone, paid cash. I never imagined," his voice faltered. "The maid discovered her during cleaning." Reed surveyed the room again. No signs of forced entry, no defensive wounds on the victim. She had either admitted her assailant willingly or recognized them. Back at the precinct, Reed pinned photographs to the board. 3 women, strikingly similar, all found in rundown motels. Rumors of a serial predator began to circulate. "Autopsy findings are in," announced Detective Hayes, placing a folder on Reed's desk. "Death by manual strangulation. No DNA under the victim's nails. No signs of sexual assault." Reed furrowed her brow. This wasn't a random act, it was personal. Days blurred as the investigation intensified. Surveillance footage from the motel revealed no anomalies. The victim, identified as Elaine Werner, was a meticulous financial analyst with no known enemies. Her friends described her as cautious and private, unlikely to choose such accommodations willingly. A breakthrough came during Reed's interview with Werner's sister. She mentioned a man from work, the sister divulged, hands trembling around her cup. "Secretive. I think he was married," Reed lined in. "Did she mention a name? Just see," the sister whispered. The focus shifted to Werner's workplace. Colleagues described her as reserved and professional, unaware of any relationship. However, a business card found in Werner's desk led to Charles Emerson, senior vice president. Emerson appeared composed during questioning, concerned, cooperative, distant. His alibi checked out, dinner with his wife and friends, yet something in his gaze unsettled Reed. "Did you have a personal relationship with Elaine Werner?" she inquired casually. A flicker passed over Emerson's features, barely perceptible. Forensic analysis matched partial prints from Werner's handbag to Emerson. When confronted, his fa-de crumbled. "We were involved," he confessed, "but it was over. She threatened to expose me to my wife." "To the extent of murder?" Reed probed. Emerson's gaze hardened. "I never set foot in that motel." However, records revealed a credit card transaction for the adjacent room, paid with his corporate card. A hidden camera was found in that room, along with incriminating evidence linking Emerson to the crime. In the interrogation room, Emerson's mask slipped. "They jeopardized everything," he muttered. "My reputation, my marriage, my life." The trial unfolded swiftly, a spectacle in the sterile courtroom. Emerson remained stoic, devoid of remorse, preserving the corporate faedeh that had served him well. The judge sentenced him to life imprisonment without parole. As he was escorted away, Reed caught his gaze. For a fleeting moment, she glimpsed not humanity, but its absence, a void where empathy should reside. The media dubbed it the door on the left case. Psychologists analyzed Emerson's psyche, while true crime enthusiasts pored over every detail. Yet for Reed, the case never truly closed. Sometimes, wandering hotel corridors, she found herself counting doors, pondering the secrets they concealed. In the evidence vault, 3 identical motel keys lay tagged and cataloged, a tangible reminder that certain doors, once opened, can never be shut. Story 10, the real estate listing gave no hint of a basement. The architectural blueprints made no mention of it. Yet as the family peeled back the worn carpet, they uncovered a hidden door. A door with a heavy, rusted handle that took 3 of them to pry open. A rush of stale air, thick with the scent of damp earth, greeted them as they descended the steps into darkness. Expecting storage, they instead found a solitary chair beneath a swaying light bulb. And on the wall behind it, a chilling row of photographs of themselves. The Mercer family had settled into the suburban home during a winter of early darkness and bare trees. The house, with its weathered siding and creaking floors, exuded character and history, they had thought. But they had never imagined the depth of history within its walls, nor the chilling way it would intertwine with their present. Detective Sarah Connors arrived at the scene with her partner, the crime scene unit already at work, securing the area with fluttering yellow tape. Mrs. Mercer's voice had trembled over the phone as she described what lay hidden beneath their living room floor. "We must document everything before anyone else enters," Connors instructed, pulling on latex gloves with precision. Camera flashes illuminated the stairwell as the forensic team meticulously captured the eerie scene. The wooden steps groaned as they descended into the small basement, akin to a standard bedroom, with concrete walls painted a dull gray. In the center sat a solitary chair bolted to the floor, while above, a bare bulb cast harsh shadows that danced in an unseen draft. But it was the wall of photographs that held their gaze, 37 images, dated back weeks, all of the Mercer family in moments of unsuspecting vulnerability. The investigation unveiled no signs of forced entry, no theft, no disrupted security system, only a violation of privacy and safety. Forensics discovered fingerprints mostly belonging to past owners of the house. Records revealed a pattern of short-lived ownership, each family selling at decreasing prices, none mentioning a basement discovery. Interviewing previous owners led to disturbing revelations. Blueprints altered, permits withdrawn, reports redacted, creating a web of deceit around the property's history. A breakthrough came from a contractor who had renovated the house years before. His denial of the basement's existence shook them. Digital forensics uncovered more images on a hidden memory card, depicting not just the Mercers, but past families in intimate detail. The discovery of audio recordings hidden in the basement hinted at a sophisticated surveillance system throughout the house, unseen during the initial search. "We must search every inch," Connors urged, her voice laced with urgency. Behind the photograph wall, a hidden passage revealed a monitoring station with a laptop connected to wireless cameras. A journal found their detailed personal observations of each family, penned by the house's original builder, Edward Kelvin. His mysterious disappearance during construction raised suspicions. The journal's final entries hinted at a disturbed mind fixated on the family's lives. Fingerprint analysis linked Kelvin to the basement, where he had lived undetected, watching the families like characters in his private drama. Arrested after a 3-day manhunt, Kelvin spoke of the families as his own, believing they had willingly become his subjects. The trial exposed the intricate surveillance network hidden within the house, designed by Kelvin to observe its residents without their knowledge. The families, including the Mercers, fled the violated property, haunted by the realization of being watched in their most private moments. The house was razed, but the psychological scars remained, a reminder that the walls that once sheltered them had also been their silent captor. In quiet moments, they still felt the weight of unseen eyes, questioning if they were truly alone or if they had ever been. Story 11, the apartment exuded an air of age and history, its walls holding secrets whispered through the creaking heating system and rattling pipes. It was a familiar soundtrack, one that blended into the background of everyday life, or so she thought, until that moment when a delicate voice, barely audible yet distinct, floated through the vents, catching her attention. It wasn't the typical noise of neighbors conversing. It was a soft whisper calling out her name. Curiosity piqued. She leaned closer, pressing her ear against the vent, feeling her heart quicken its pace. A chilly breath brushed past her cheek, followed by a playful whisper, "I know you can hear me." Detective Morgan Shaw stood in the heart of the empty apartment, her gaze fixed on the aged vent cover that had been forcefully removed from the wall. The forensic team moved around her with precision, capturing every detail with their cameras. Alina Reeves, the missing victim, had vanished without a trace until the building manager detected a sinister odor. What they unearthed within the ventilation system defied all logic. She claimed to hear voices through the vents, Officer Patel recounted, flipping through his notes. But the building management dismissed her concerns, attributing them to the building's aging infrastructure. Shaw knelt by the vent, observing the deep gouges and scratch marks around its edges. These marks were not made by any tool but by desperate fingernails, as if someone had been trapped inside trying to escape. The victim, Alina, was a beloved kindergarten teacher known for her warm smile and thriving houseplants. Her disappearance had left a void in the lives of many, from her worried students to her grieving sister. During the investigation, unsettling details emerged. Fibers from the victim's favorite cardigan were found in the vent grating, along with a mysterious fingerprint inside the cover. But the most chilling discovery was the audio recordings from Alina's phone, capturing eerie whispers that sent shivers down Shaw's spine as she listened in solitude, raindrops drumming a melancholic melody on a car roof. The history of the building unraveled a disturbing pattern. Previous tenants had abruptly left, citing strange noises and unsettling experiences. One had even suffered from hallucinations of voices emanating from the vents. Harold Weber, the building superintendent, raised suspicions with his nonchalant demeanor, deflecting questions about the tenants of apartment 4B with subtle evasion. As the investigation progressed, a hidden access panel in Alina's bathroom led to a concealed maintenance passage running within the walls, granting an ominous insight into the perpetrator's modus operandi. The passage contained remnants of a clandestine presence, indications of someone living within the walls, observing, listening, and whispering. Upon searching Weber's pristine apartment, incriminating evidence surfaced in the form of meticulously organized files, recordings, and a digital journal that chronicled his disturbing fixation on Alina. The storage unit rented under his name, revealed a macabre collection of mementos from past tenants, preserved like trophies of his twisted relationships with them. Weber's arrest shed light on the horrors that had unfolded within the walls of the apartment building. He confessed with a chilling calmness, claiming that the building itself spoke through him, connecting him to his victims in a twisted symbiosis. The tragic fate of Alina, coerced into the labyrinthine ventilation system, was a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked within the building's confines. As the trial unfolded, the jury swiftly rendered a verdict of guilt on all charges, condemning Weber's malevolent actions. Yet his parting words to Shaw echoed ominously, a reminder that his whispers would linger, carried by the very walls that had borne witness to his atrocities. Today, the once vacant apartment building stands as a silent sentinel, its walls holding memories of unspeakable horrors. Despite attempts at renovation and rejuvenation, residents still speak of eerie sounds echoing from the vents, whispers in the walls, and chilling drafts that seem to carry spectral voices. The building groans with age. The pipes rattle a familiar refrain that masks the lingering presence of a malevolent force, a reminder that some secrets are buried deep within the very foundations of the past. Story 12, the aged library stood on the brink of destruction. The workers, their task nearly complete, stumbled upon a hidden latch nestled within a bookshelf. With a gentle click, the shelf swung open, unveiling a narrow passageway leading to a concealed chamber. The air within was heavy, untouched for decades. No furniture adorned the room except for a solitary chair at its center, firmly affixed to the floor. Etched repeatedly on the wall, a haunting message echoed, "I am still here." The construction foreman swiftly contacted the authorities. What had begun as a routine demolition swiftly morphed into something far more enigmatic. Detective Morgan Walsh, a seasoned investigator with 2 decades of experience, found himself facing a scene unlike any other in his career. Standing in the doorway, his flashlight beam pierced the darkness, illuminating the eerie message adorning the walls. "Secure the area," Walsh directed the officers, his voice resonating in the confined space. "No one disturbs a thing until forensics arrive." The library's history cast a shadowy backdrop. Once owned by the influential Harrington family, the building was bequeathed to the public following the mysterious disappearance of their daughter, Rebecca. Vanishing during her final year of college, all that remained was her abandoned car near the woods. Despite extensive searches and inquiries, the case grew cold. The prevailing belief hinted at her fleeing to forge a new path, yet her family refused to accept this rationale, insistent that a darker truth lurked beneath. As forensic experts meticulously combed through the hidden chamber, they unearthed hair and fiber samples embedded in the chair. Traces of blood and skin cells mingled within the scratches on the wall, concealed beneath layers of dust. Initial tests suggested the biological remnants belonged to a young woman. This chair was intended for restraint, the forensic analyst observed, gesturing to the bolt holes and worn leather straps affixed to the arms. Whoever was confined here fought fiercely. Walsh rallied a team to delve into the Harrington family's past. The timing of the library's donation nagged at him. Gifted to the community mere weeks after Rebecca's disappearance, a peculiar coincidence that now bore weight. Further inquiry unveiled a chilling revelation. The bookshelf concealing the hidden room was installed by a contractor exclusively hired by Maxwell Harrington, Rebecca's uncle and the family patriarch. Financial records revealed exorbitant payments to this contractor, far exceeding standard renovation expenses. Former library staff expressed astonishment at the revelation. None had been privy to the concealed space, though an elderly librarian recalled Maxwell spending hours alone in that section after hours. She assumed he sought solitude as an avid reader. Maxwell insisted that area remain untouched during renovations, she recounted to investigators, adding an unsettling layer to the unfolding mystery. The investigation escalated when DNA evidence from the hidden room matched samples from Rebecca's hairbrush discovered in her old bedroom. The timeline crystallized, painting a grim portrait. Rebecca had not fled, she had been imprisoned behind the bookshelf, potentially by a member of her own family. Armed with a search warrant, detectives combed the Harrington estate. In Maxwell's study, they uncovered a leather-bound journal secreted in a false bottom drawer. Its pages chronicled months of entries detailing an unhealthy fixation on his niece. The final entry sent shivers down their spines. She threatened to expose everything. I couldn't allow that. The room will confine her until she sees reason. Investigators located Maxwell in a coastal retirement community. Initially composed, he disavowed any knowledge of the hidden room, dismissing it as an architectural oddity. Confronted with the journal and DNA findings, his facade crumbled. Rebecca was on the brink of ruin, he confessed, his voice devoid of emotion. She unearthed evidence of my embezzlement from the family foundation. Our name meant everything, I couldn't let her tarnish it. Maxwell's admission unveiled a gruesome truth. He had lured Rebecca to the library, subdued her, and ensnared her in the hidden chamber. His plan was to confine her until she agreed to remain silent, but fate intervened. During a struggle, Rebecca had attempted escape, leading to her untimely demise. I acted out of panic, Maxwell confessed in a chilling admission. I buried her beneath the room's floor and sealed it shut. Donating the building ensured the secret remained buried. Ground-penetrating radar confirmed human remains beneath the hidden room's floor. Excavation unearthed Rebecca's skeletal remains, adorned with the silver bracelet her parents had gifted her on her 20th birthday. The Harrington family witnessed Maxwell's sentencing, a somber conclusion to a tragic saga. Rebecca's mother clutched her daughter's bracelet, a poignant memento amid the closure. The library's demolition halted indefinitely, transformed into a site of remembrance and contemplation. Community members laid flowers at its entrance, honoring a life cut short and a truth concealed behind a bookshelf. In a poignant twist, Rebecca's desperate message, "I am still here," etched on the walls, ensured her legacy endured, and justice, though delayed, prevailed in the end. Story 13. The ancient box lay hidden beneath layers of forgotten relics in the attic, a time-worn artifact of the house's past inhabitants. Among the faded Polaroids documenting mundane moments of joy and togetherness, there was one that stood out, shrouded in mystery. In this peculiar photograph, captured in her own living room, a family she did not recognize sat cheerfully, oblivious to the sinister figure lurking in the shadows behind them. A man barely discernible in the dimness, observing with an unsettling stillness. Rebecca's fingers quivered as she held the photo, a chill slithering up her spine. Descending the creaking wooden steps, she felt the weight of the house pressing down on her, suffocating her with its unwelcome secrets. Placing the photograph on her kitchen counter, she scrutinized it under the harsh, artificial light. The uncanny resemblance between her home and the unfamiliar family within the photo sent shivers down her spine. Detective Morgan, a seasoned investigator with a weathered leather jacket and penetrating gaze, arrived to unravel the enigma. With meticulous precision, he examined the photograph, delving into the shadows of the past. The trail led back through the house's previous occupants, each family vanishing without a trace after precisely 1 year of residency. A breakthrough came when a former mail carrier identified the family in the photo as the Sutherlands, who had mysteriously disappeared years ago. Forensic analysis of the photograph revealed eerie details, hinting at a staged scene and an unknown presence in the hallway. Further investigation uncovered a dark history tied to the house's construction by a shadowy figure named Samuel Whitfield, who had met a tragic end. Beneath the concrete floor of the basement, a macabre discovery awaited the preserved remains of all the missing families, each captured in photographs like the one found in the attic. The house, a silent witness to unspeakable horrors, was sealed off as a crime scene, its secrets buried deep within its walls. As Rebecca sought refuge under police protection, a chilling message in a journal found in the hidden crawl space hinted at a malevolent force still at large. The specter of Samuel Whitfield loomed over the investigation, his sinister presence lingering in the shadows. The house, now a haunted relic of the past, stood abandoned and dark, concealing its malevolent secrets from prying eyes. The truth about Samuel Whitfield remained elusive, his legacy shrouded in mystery and fear. And as new families moved into new homes, unaware of the watchers in the shadows, the chilling certainty remained the past never truly fades, and those who seek the truth may find themselves ensnared in a web of darkness and dread. Story 14. The woman stood before the mirror, her reflection obscured by the lingering steam. As she wiped it away, she expected to see familiarity staring back at her, but something felt askew, a subtle shift in the air. Her features appeared unchanged, her attire the same as always. Yet a creeping unease settled within her the longer she gazed. A flicker caught in the corner of her eye, a movement not of her own making. When she turned, her reflection held her gaze, unmoving, as if observing her every move with intent. This peculiar incident marked the beginning of Rebecca Thorne's unsettling journey. Living in solitude within a modest apartment nestled in a tranquil suburban enclave, Rebecca was known for her meticulous nature and reserved demeanor. Her routine as a data analyst for a mid-sized company defined her existence, guided by precision and predictability. No one could have foreseen that she would become enmeshed in one of the most enigmatic criminal enigmas of the era. Initially, the disturbances were subtle: a misplaced coffee mug, rearranged books, a toothbrush out of its usual place. Rebecca attributed these anomalies to fatigue, the consequence of long hours spent poring over spreadsheets under harsh fluorescent lights. It was only after weeks of these peculiar occurrences that she reached out to Detective Marion Shaw, the first threads of a mystery beginning to unravel. At first glance, the incident seemed trivial, lacking tangible evidence of criminal activity. Detective Shaw, initially skeptical, filed Rebecca's report among the stack of lesser cases, deeming it a matter best suited for mental health professionals. But the turning point came with the incident in the bathroom mirror, where Rebecca's reflection seemed to take on a life of its own, a silent sentinel watching her every move. The discovery of a doppelganger entering Rebecca's home in her absence through security footage shook even the most seasoned investigators. The uncanny resemblance, the meticulous mimicry, pointed to a calculated and sinister presence lurking in the shadows. As the investigation delved deeper, a pattern emerged: the doppelganger struck during specific absences, a sinister dance of surveillance and infiltration orchestrated with chilling precision. A former colleague, Lily Winters, emerged as a person of interest, her fixation on Rebecca bordering on obsession. Lily's eerie shrine-like replication of Rebecca's life within her own abode painted a picture of a disturbed mind fixated on assuming Rebecca's identity. The meticulous mimicry, the meticulous documentation, hinted at a plan far darker than mere imitation. The hunt for Lily intensified, culminating in a chilling realization Lily had seamlessly slipped into Rebecca's life, a shadow cast over her existence. Despite exhaustive efforts to locate Lily, she remained elusive, her disappearance shrouded in mystery. Rebecca, whisked away to safety under continuous surveillance, embarked on forging a new identity, leaving her former life behind like a faded memory. The echoes of the case reverberate through time, a cautionary tale of stolen identities and blurred boundaries. Detective Shaw, haunted by the enigmatic duo of Rebecca and Lily, keeps a vigil over their intertwined fates, a reminder of the fragility of identity and the lengths one might go to in its pursuit. In the quiet moments, she contemplates the faces in the photograph, seeking the subtle nuances that set them apart, a testament to the elusive nature of selfhood and the shadows that lurk beneath its surface. Story 15: The Enigmatic Coffee Shop. The quaint coffee shop had been a sanctuary for him, a place of quiet contemplation amidst the hustle and bustle of the city. For years, he followed the same routine, same table, same order, same peaceful silence enveloping him like a familiar cloak. The barista recognized his face, but to everyone else, he remained a mystery, nameless and elusive. Then one day, he simply didn't show up. Concerned regulars alerted the authorities, and when the police arrived to investigate, all they found was an empty chair and a wallet left behind. Inside the wallet, a driver's license bore a photo of a man with no name, no address, just a void where his identity should have been. Detective Sarah Mercer delved into the perplexing case, her fingers tracing the cold metal table as she scrutinized the security footage. The man, now dubbed John Doe in the official files, seemed utterly ordinary on camera, average in stature, unremarkable in appearance, clad in a navy coat with a weathered leather messenger bag slung over his shoulder. His disappearance defied logic, sending shivers down the spines of all involved. "Play it again," Mercer requested, her voice a whisper in the dimly lit room. The footage replayed the mundane events of that fateful morning. John entering the coffee shop during the rush hour, ordering his usual black coffee and settling at his secluded corner table. He wrote in a notebook, occasionally glancing out the window until the inexplicable moment when he rose, left his wallet on the table, walked towards the restroom and vanished into thin air, leaving no trace behind. "Check the bathroom footage," Mercer instructed, hoping for a clue, but the tech specialist shook his head in bewilderment. He never entered the restroom. It's as if he ceased to exist right there. Back at the precinct, Mercer sifted through the enigmatic contents of the abandoned wallet, blank spaces where personal details should have been, credit cards linked to non-existent accounts, and a lone business card with only a cryptic phone number. When she dialed the number, silence greeted her, punctuated by the rustling of papers before the line went dead. The barista, a witness to John Doe's daily rituals, could offer little insight. He kept to himself, always writing in that notebook, she recalled, her voice tinged with a hint of unease. Mercer probed further, but no one remembered John engaging in conversations or meeting anyone at the coffee shop. The notebook, filled with indecipherable codes and mysterious sketches of unfamiliar buildings, baffled even the most seasoned cryptographers. Mercer's inquiries yielded no leads. It was as if John Doe existed solely within the confines of that peculiar coffee shop. A peculiar pattern emerged in the security footage each time John entered. The timestamp flickered briefly, a subtle anomaly that caught Mercer's attention. Returning to the coffee shop, she positioned herself at his regular table, her gaze drawn to an antique mirror hanging between the entrance and the restroom hallway. Its ornate carvings mirrored the symbols in John's notebook, hinting at a connection beyond the mundane. Upon questioning the shop owner about the mirror, Mercer uncovered its long history within the establishment. When she touched its surface, she felt an inexplicable warmth, setting in motion a series of revelations that would shake the foundations of reality itself. Forensics uncovered a hidden compartment behind the mirror, containing identical wallets with blank details and a journal penned by John Doe, chronicling experiments in temporal manipulation and identity transference. The final entry hinted at imminent closure, a warning of encroaching danger. As word of the mysterious case spread, peculiar occurrences plagued the vicinity, the reflections in the shop's windows moving independently, sightings of John Doe where no one sat, and an unsettling sense of otherworldly presence. The breakthrough came with the unexpected arrival of Margaret Keller, a former physicist with knowledge of John Doe's true identity as Daniel Weston, a brilliant scientist who had vanished during experiments involving parallel realities and quantum mirrors. Mercer unraveled the tangled web connecting the coffee shop to Weston's past, tracing the building's roots to the very laboratory where he had disappeared. The final pieces of the puzzle fell into place when, alone in the dead of night, Mercer glimpsed the impossible in the shattered remains of the mirror, the coexistence of two versions of Daniel Weston, a rift bridging past and present. With the closure of the case, the coffee shop met its demise, the building razed to the ground, erasing all tangible traces of Weston's enigmatic presence. His fate remained a mystery, shrouded in the veil of parallel dimensions and elusive truths. Detective Mercer, haunted by the inexplicable events, retreated from the force, her own reality forever altered by the encounter with the man who slipped through the seams of existence. And as whispers of her own inexplicable writings and spectral reflections circulated, a fragment of an antique mirror hung on her wall, a silent witness to the mysteries that lingered beyond the veil of perception. Story 16. In the dimly lit Victorian-era home, Michael and Sarah Klein embarked on an unexpected journey as new tenants. Little did they know that beneath the peeling wallpaper lay a haunting mystery waiting to be unraveled. The charming old residence beckoned to them with its ornate woodwork and high ceilings, whispering tales of a bygone era. It was a place filled with character and secrets that were about to reveal themselves in a most unsettling manner. It all began with a simple water stain in the master bedroom, a yellowish blemish on the floral wallpaper catching Sarah's eye. As they peeled back the layers to investigate, they uncovered more than just outdated patterns. Hidden beneath the surface was a name Alina Winters written repeatedly in dark ink, the handwriting growing increasingly frantic and erratic. Curiosity turned to unease as they delved deeper into the mystery of Alina Winters. A search through property records yielded no trace of her ever owning the house. The only connection they found was a missing persons case from decades past, a case that bore a striking resemblance to the woman who had sold them the house, Margaret Cavendish. The discovery sent shivers down their spines, sparking an obsession to uncover the truth behind the enigmatic Alina Winters. Their evenings were consumed with relentless investigation, tracing back the history of the house and its previous owners. As they dug deeper, they unearthed a hidden compartment beneath the bedroom closet floorboards, revealing a trove of identification cards belonging to Alina Winters and other aliases. The startling revelation of multiple identities linked to their seller, Margaret Cavendish, plunged them further into a labyrinth of deception. But the most chilling revelation came from the wall itself. Forensic analysis uncovered a dual identity at play. A psychiatric patient named Rebecca Eldridge, diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, had assumed the persona of Alina Winters. The scrawled name on the wall was a desperate attempt to cling to reality amidst a fractured mind. The investigation took a dark turn as the truth unraveled before their eyes. Ground-penetrating radar led to the discovery of Alina Winters' remains buried in the backyard, confirming the heinous crime that had long remained hidden. Rebecca Eldridge, masquerading as Margaret Cavendish, was apprehended, her elaborate web of identities crumbling in the face of overwhelming evidence. The names on the wall served as both a memorial and a testament to guilt, etched by a tormented mind seeking absolution. For Alina's family, closure came 3 decades late, and for Michael and Sarah, their dream home became a haunting relic, forever etched in true crime lore as the house where the walls whispered of a long-buried secret. Story 17, the gentle current of the morning river whispered softly, the water mirroring the sky in a tranquil stillness. A lone fisherman, lost in his thoughts, almost missed the sight of a peculiar suitcase floating near the shore. Initially dismissing it as discarded old clothes, he felt a shiver crawl down his spine as he approached. The air carried a heavy, sweet scent, unmistakable in its morbidity. Chains wrapped around the case, its edges tainted with the rust of neglect. When authorities pried it open, it wasn't garments they uncovered, but a macabre tableau. Tangled hair, fingers frozen in a haunting grip, and at the very bottom, a chilling note, "This isn't the first." Detective Sarah Mercer arrived at the scene, her steps measured as she took in the grim discovery. The victim, a woman in her 30s with dark hair now matted from its watery grave, bore an eerie elegance despite the circumstances. The medical examiner meticulously catalogued every detail before the body was respectfully removed. What struck Mercer was not just the manner of disposal, but the unsettling care taken with the victim's presentation: manicured nails, recently styled hair, dressed in expensive attire. Identified as Catherine Walsh, a successful real estate agent known for her high-profile deals, she lived a seemingly pristine life in an affluent neighborhood. Divorced and childless, she was a private individual known for her ambition and attention to detail. Her sudden disappearance, reported by her concerned assistant, raised red flags as she missed a crucial client meeting that could have been her breakthrough sale. As the investigation unfolded, Walsh's meticulously maintained home revealed a different story. Every aspect was immaculate, almost unnaturally so. However, a slightly ajar drawer in her office led to a startling discovery: a leather-bound journal with a cryptic last entry hinting at a lurking danger. Further digital scrutiny unveiled a pattern of ominous messages in her inbox, all bearing the same unsettling phrase: "I see your perfection." Mercer pieced together the puzzle, linking Walsh's anxious online searches for security measures to the carefully staged crime scene. "Our perpetrator is methodical," she confided to her partner. "This was no crime of passion, it was a deliberate ritual." A break in the case came unexpectedly from a local pawn shop, where Walsh's missing emerald necklace surfaced. The culprit, Michael Linden, a nondescript maintenance worker, emerged as the prime suspect. Surveillance footage painted a sinister picture of Linden's calculated entries into Walsh's building, always during her absences. A search of his modest abode uncovered a chilling collection of photos of Walsh and other women, all bearing a striking resemblance, taken without their knowledge. Behind a concealed wall in Lyndon's closet lay a shrine of eerie devotion, each victim's personal items meticulously displayed alongside detailed observations of their lives. Confronted with irrefutable evidence, Lyndon's calm facade cracked as he revealed his twisted rationale. They were flawed, he uttered impassively. Their perfection was a facade, and I had to expose it. The search for the other victims referenced in his note led investigators to desolate locations where 2 more suitcases were retrieved, each bearing the tragic remains of women who shared Walsh's professional image of flawlessness. Lyndon's trial was a somber affair, with the families of the victims silently watching as justice was served a life sentence without parole. For Detective Mercer, the case closed officially, yet haunting questions lingered in the air. What inner demons drove Lyndon to fixate on these women, seeking to rectify perceived imperfections through unspeakable acts? The river's gentle flow carried on, eventually erasing all traces of the grim tale it held. But in Mercer's precinct, the chilling notebook served as a somber reminder that behind the facade of ordinary lives, darkness could lurk, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. As night fell, casting shadows over the precinct, Mercer remained seated at her desk, contemplating the enigmatic nature of evil that could hide in plain sight, biding its time until a single flaw exposed its true form. The world outside slumbered, unaware of the silent predators that moved among them, a reminder that beneath the serene surface of life, a turbulent undercurrent of darkness may flow undetected. Story 18. In the attic of her mother's house, Sarah Winters stumbled upon a dusty box labeled Memories. Inside lay a collection of aged Polaroid photos, capturing moments of joy and togetherness from her childhood. But amidst the familiar smiles and flickering candles, there lurked a sinister presence. A figure shrouded in shadow appeared in the background of each photograph, a man unknown to the family, yet steadily advancing closer with each passing image. Sarah's heart quickened as she realized the chilling truth that no one else seemed to see. She reached out to her father, the weight of unease heavy in her voice. "Dad, who is this man haunting our family photos?" His response was a stunned silence, followed by a deep breath filled with apprehension. "There shouldn't be anyone there except us," he finally replied. Determined to unravel the mystery, Sarah sought the help of Detective Marcus Reed. As rain tapped against the windows of the precinct, she laid out the haunting photographs before him. The detective's keen eyes traced the progression of the unknown man's movement through the frames, a sense of foreboding settling in the room. Despite their efforts to identify the figure, no one could place him. No memory stirred, no recognition sparked. It was as though he had materialized out of thin air, a phantom from the shadows of forgotten memories. With technological expertise, the images were enhanced, revealing hidden details that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. A scar, a ring, a faint reflection, all clues leading to a chilling revelation. The man in the photos bore a striking resemblance to Robert Keller, a long-missing maintenance worker linked to past child abductions. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place as Keller's dark history came to light. His presence in the family photos was a haunting reminder of the horrors he had perpetrated, his malicious intent captured in frozen moments of joy. As authorities uncovered buried evidence at Keller's former residence, the truth became undeniable. The shadow in the photos was a harbinger of tragedy, a predator lurking in plain sight among unsuspecting families. Sarah sat alone, the weight of the revelations pressing upon her. The closure brought by the discovery of remains near the vacation property was bittersweet, a grim resolution to a decades-old mystery. The unseen threat that had haunted their memories had finally been unmasked, his reign of terror exposed by the silent witness of photographs. Gently placing the photos back in the box, Sarah closed the lid on a chapter of darkness and deceit. The hidden figure, once a ghostly presence in their celebrations, now stood exposed in the light of justice, his legacy of fear shattered by the truth revealed in a series of haunting images. Story 19. As she crossed the threshold, the front door creaking softly behind her, dust danced in the stagnant air of the abandoned house. Years of neglect had left their mark, peeling walls, furniture draped in ghostly sheets. Each step she took felt like a journey frozen in time, a solitary figure wandering through echoes of the past. Yet amidst this eerie stillness, there was a peculiar anomaly that beckoned her curiosity. The doors, every single one of them, seemed to defy logic. No matter which handle she grasped, no matter which path she chose, each door led her back to the same room, the parlor. A sense of disorientation settled over her, like a veil of mystery woven into the very fabric of the house. The only way out was the way she came in, or so she thought. But when she turned to retrace her steps, the front door had vanished into thin air, leaving her trapped in a labyrinth of her own making. The discovery of Morgan Pierce's lifeless form transformed the once abandoned Victorian into a scene of intrigue and sorrow. Detective Sarah Lind stood at the threshold, observing as forensic technicians moved through the dim interior like phantoms in the night. The house had long held a reputation among the locals, a place where compasses spun wildly, where whispers of unseen eyes watching lingered in the air. Now it held secrets far darker than mere superstition. The initial examination suggests a time of death approximately 3 days ago, the medical examiner murmured, his words barely audible in the solemn space. The cause appears to be asphyxiation. Morgan, discovered seated in an antique chair in the parlor, bore a serene expression, hands folded neatly in her lap. No struggle marks, no signs of resistance. The scene exuded a chilling tranquility that unsettled even the most seasoned investigators. Lind inquired, her voice a hushed inquiry, who stumbled upon the body. Her partner relayed the information, a real estate agent showing the property to potential buyers. They mistook her for a trespasser until they drew closer. The house had remained vacant since the passing of its previous owner, Eleanor Blackwood, nearly 5 years prior. Legal disputes had left the property in a state of abandonment, unwanted, unclaimed, forgotten save for the occasional intrusion of vandals and thrill-seekers. Morgan Pierce, a 26-year-old graduate student delving into architectural enigmas for her thesis, had a penchant for the unconventional. Known for her meticulous nature and insatiable curiosity, she was drawn to spaces that defied the norms of design. The enigmatic Victorian, with its reputation for ensnaring wanderers in its web of confusion, would have been a siren's call to her inquisitive mind. Her roommate reported her missing 2 days back, Lind noted, sifting through her notes. Morgan mentioned investigating the house where wanderers vanish for her research. Further inquiry unveiled Morgan's multiple visits to the house in the weeks leading to her demise. Her journal entries chronicled strange acoustics, unexplained cold spots, and doors that seemed to lead to ever-shifting destinations. In her final musings, she spoke of deploying specialized equipment to capture what she termed spatial anomalies. Yet that equipment remained elusive, a missing piece of the puzzle. The autopsy yielded a startling revelation: traces of a rare alkaloid in Morgan's system, derived from a plant linked to shamanic practices. While the substance was known to induce disorientation and vivid visions, the dosage found was insufficient to be fatal. Morgan was no casual drug user, her boyfriend asserted during questioning. She held her research ethics in high regard. Intentional compromise of her faculties seems implausible. Digital sleuthing unearthed fragments of erased messages on Morgan's phone in exchange with a kindred spirit captivated by the mysteries of the house. Their dialogues grew intimate, cryptic, hinting at a shared understanding of the dwelling's enigmas. The house retains its memories, read one cryptic missive. It yearns for a seeker. Lynn's investigation led her to Adam Reeves, an architectural scholar who had engaged in discourse with Morgan. His expertise in rare spatial phenomena had captivated her, forging a bond that transcended professional boundaries. In their conversations, Reeves spoke of depths within the house that transcended mere optical illusions. He elucidated on a hidden world lurking beneath the surface, a realm of secrets waiting to be unveiled. When questioned, Reeves expressed genuine grief at Morgan's passing. The house harbors a legacy, he confided. Its architect wove a tapestry of illusions and riddles. Morgan believed there was a deeper truth, a truth beyond mere trickery. Yet Reeves possessed an alibi for the critical time frame of Morgan's demise. Surveillance footage captured him delivering a lecture at a distant university symposium, placing him miles away from the scene of her final moments. A breakthrough emerged from an unexpected source, a descendant of a leaner Blackwood, now residing overseas. Contacted by the investigators, he exposed a long-buried family secret, a legacy veiled in shadows. My grandmother was not the sole Blackwood to meet their end within those walls, he divulged. Others followed suit, always discovered in the parlor, always in a state of serene repose. The family termed it the claiming. He furnished age journals chronicling deaths attributed to natural causes, heart failures, strokes, all linked to prolonged exposure to the house's influence. A morose pattern emerged, a tapestry of lives intersecting with tragedy within the walls of the Victorian. A secondary sweep of the premises unearthed a concealed compartment behind the parlor's hearth. Within its confines lay Morgan's missing equipment and a trove of enigmatic artifacts, a meticulously arranged assemblage of items from diverse indigenous cultures, converging in a harmonious dance of symbolism. At the center stood a weathered figurine, its features smoothed by the touch of generations. Analysis linked the figurine to a deity associated with liminal spaces, the thresholds between worlds. Traces of the alkaloid matching Morgan's toxicology were detected on the artifacts, stitching a sinister thread through the tapestry of mystery. The case took an ominous turn as forensic analysis of dust patterns within the house unveiled a presence beyond Morgan's solitary vigil. Partial fingerprints, alien to Morgan or known visitors, graced the doorknobs like ethereal whispers of an unseen hand. 3 weeks into the investigation, Adam Reeves was discovered in his apartment, a mirror image of Morgan's final repose. Alkaloid traces mirrored those found in Morgan's system, hinting at a malevolent force at play. Clutched in Reeves' hand was a key, unyielding to any lock within his abode, yet a perfect match for the hidden compartment in the Victorian. His final missive, an email addressed to himself as a testament to the truth, bore witness to the house's insidious grip on perception. The house does not ensnare you physically, he inscribed. It ensnares your very essence. The paths lead where they have always led, yet the mind perceives a labyrinth. Once enlightenment dawns, escape is merely a decision. But by then, the desire to depart has waned. The case, shrouded in shadows and unanswered queries, lingered as an open enigma, a saga of inexplicable demises cloaked in suspicion. The Victorian, now deemed uninhabitable and cordoned off by authorities, whispered tales of spectral lights flickering within its confines on moonlit nights. Rumors swirled of visitors who vanished within its walls, drawn into a realm beyond mortal ken. Some locals murmured of the house's insidious hunger for souls that delved too deeply into its enigmatic core. Others spoke of Morgan and Reeves as harbingers of an ancient truth, a truth that dwelled in the interstices of conventional reality. The veracity of such tales remained as elusive as an exit in a maze where all doors led back to the beginning of mystery, entwined with the very essence of the house's enigmatic allure. And as the night descended, casting shadows upon the forsaken Victorian, the whispers of its secrets echoed through the corridors, beckoning the curious and the daring to tread its hallowed halls, where reality blurred and dreams intertwined with the fabric of existence. Story 20. The aging apartment exuded a charm of its own, a symphony of groaning pipes and creaking floorboards. Yet the new occupant sensed a disquieting presence in those sounds. The footsteps, too deliberate and unwavering, seemed to originate from above, despite her living on the highest floor. One fateful night, emboldened by a surge of courage, she rapped the ceiling with a broomstick. The footsteps ceased. A heavy silence enveloped the space until a single knock reverberated from within the ceiling itself. Sarah Coleman chose to keep the strange incident to herself, attributing it to the settling of the building or a potential critter that had infiltrated the attic. Night after night, the methodical footfalls continued their haunting dance across her ceiling in the veiled darkness. Sarah adapted, cranking up the volume of her television, donning headphones at bedtime, anything to drown out the unsettling rhythm above. Detective Morris was introduced to the apartment's enigma when a maintenance worker stumbled upon a concealed crawlspace during routine repairs. Upon removing a section of drywall to mend a leak outside Sarah's unit, the worker stumbled upon a clandestine passage unaccounted for in the building blueprints. Illuminated by his flashlight, the narrow space revealed a makeshift living quarter, discarded food wrappers, empty water bottles, a soiled blanket, and a small journal. The building superintendent promptly summoned the police. Detective Morris, accompanied by Detective Rivera, arrived to find the maintenance worker visibly shaken. "Someone's been dwelling within the walls," he muttered, his voice trembling. "Someone's been watching." The journal contained meticulous observations of Sarah Coleman, her daily routine, her visitors, her meals, her viewing habits, her moments of repose. The once neat handwriting deteriorated into chaotic scrawls in the final pages, adorned with cryptic symbols. "The subject no longer acknowledges my presence," the last entry lamented. "She has chosen to ignore me. No one ignores me." Forensic teams meticulously combed the crawlspace, unearthing fingerprints that matched no known records. It unveiled an intricate network of passages interwoven within the building's walls and ceilings, some with origins dating back decades. These passages intertwined with 5 different apartments, culminating in observation points camouflaged as mundane fixtures, but only one led to Sarah Coleman's abode. Interviews with current residents yielded no unusual occurrences beyond the typical sounds of communal living. However, former tenants painted a divergent picture. 3 predecessors of Sarah's described feeling a constant gaze upon them or hearing inexplicable movements. One tenant had vacated after a mere fortnight, all refraining from voicing their experiences out of fear of seeming paranoid. The breakthrough emerged when forensics unearthed microscopic blood traces in one of the crawl spaces. DNA analysis linked it to Martin Weaver, a former resident who had vanished without a trace 4 years prior. His disappearance had stymied investigators, with his family filing a missing person report that had languished in obscurity. Martin resided directly beneath Sarah's apartment. Revisiting Martin's vanishing act, Detective Morris unraveled a narrative tinged with dread. Martin had bemoaned disturbances emanating from the upper floor of his abode, confronting the tenant residing above him, an introverted figure named Edward who shunned social interactions. Subsequently, Martin vanished, while Edward absconded the following month without a forwarding address. A meticulous examination of Edward's rental history unveiled a recurrent pattern. Preferring top-floor accommodations, he forged minimal connections before vanishing without a trace. A neighbor from his third residence recollected Edward's intensity and incessant grievances about the need for silence. Records divulged Edward's acquisition of remote rural property. Upon investigating, a secluded cabin materialized, its walls adorned with photographs and notes. The images featured residents from various apartment buildings, including Sarah Coleman and Martin Weaver. Detailed maps of ventilation systems and structural vulnerabilities coexisted with journals chronicling specimen observations and the maintenance of habitats. At the cabin's core, a corkboard displayed newspaper clippings, 6 missing persons reports, each tied to a former resident of buildings Edward had inhabited. Deep grooves etched the wooden floor beneath the board, suggestive of a heavy object dragged repeatedly. Behind the cabin, cadaver dogs unearthed freshly disturbed earth, unveiling human remains, each grave a poignant testament to Edward's sinister machinations. As forensic anthropologists endeavored to identify the victims, Detective Morris revisited Sarah's apartment building. Though the crawl spaces had been sealed, residents still reported sporadic noises. During the installation of enhanced security measures, maintenance workers stumbled upon a chilling discovery: a second journal nestled in a crevice where the ceiling met the wall in the hallway. Fresh in comparison to its predecessor, the initial page bore a single ominous line: "They found my old nest, but not my new one." The writing mirrored the earlier journal, with the final page depicting a crude sketch of Sarah's apartment layout embellished with a new passage marked in crimson. An impending date loomed on the page, signaling imminent danger. Officers hastened to evacuate Sarah, only to find her dwelling deserted. Her phone lay dormant on the kitchen counter, the television's glow casting an eerie pallor. Within the bathroom, steam obscured the mirror, unveiling a chilling message etched by a finger: "Look up." The ceiling panel above the shower had been displaced, a gateway to a world of horrors. The manhunt for Edward, now identified as Edward Mercer, a former construction specialist well versed in building structures, rages on. Thermal scans of Sarah's building unveiled no current signs of habitation within the walls, leaving Sarah Coleman's fate shrouded in mystery. Her disappearance linked to a string of vanishing acts across state borders. Authorities have cautioned apartment managers about clandestine modifications and concealed spaces. Amidst the grim reminders of lives lost, Detective Morris is haunted not by the graves, journals, or photographs, but by the echo of Sarah's solitary nights, punctuated by enigmatic footsteps from a phantom floor above. Sometimes, during the quietude of his own abode, Detective Morris finds himself gazing upward, attuned to the hushed symphony of his surroundings. A silent vigil, pondering who else may be lurking in the shadows, listening in the stillness. Story 21. In the stillness of an empty house, a phone lay on the dusty kitchen counter, its screen softly glowing in the dim light, as if beckoning from another realm. Detective Morgan Reed found herself drawn to it, her fingers hovering over the playback button, ready to unravel the mystery that lingered in the air like a whisper. The call had come in moments earlier, a voice, barely audible, filled with urgency and fear. A woman's voice speaking of someone's presence. He's here. And then silence enveloped the line, leaving nothing but an eerie echo in its wake. The house itself seemed frozen in time, abandoned for years, yet holding onto secrets that refused to be forgotten. The Sullivan family, its former inhabitants, had left after a devastating fire tore through the West Wing, leaving behind a trail of tragedy and loss. But now, the phone on the counter seemed to defy logic, a ghostly connection to a past that should have remained buried. As Detective Reed played back the recording for the 5th time, the whispering words echoed in her mind, a haunting refrain that refused to fade. The woman's voice, so familiar yet impossible in its existence, sent shivers down her spine. Beside her, Detective Walsh sifted through the background check on the phone number, revealing a connection to Catherine Sullivan, the deceased daughter of the family. A young woman who had perished in a car accident 3 years prior, her life cut short in a tragic twist of fate. The pieces of the puzzle refused to fit together: the phone call, the abandoned house, the spectral presence of a voice long gone. It was as if the past had reached out from beyond, demanding to be heard, demanding justice. The forensic team combed through the evidence, searching for answers in the absence of clues. No fingerprints, no footprints, no signs of a living presence in the desolate house. Only the phone, a conduit to a world unseen, a world where the past bled into the present with chilling precision. And then a breakthrough came in the form of a journal, a relic from Catherine's past, hidden away in her mother's possessions. Its pages whispered of a love turned dark, of a relationship marred by control and fear, of a young woman's desperate play for escape. The truth unfurled like a dark tapestry, revealing the sinister threads that bound Catherine to her fate. Mark Jennings, her former boyfriend, emerged as the shadow at the center of the storm, his facade of innocence crumbling under the weight of evidence and accusation. As the investigation deepened, so did the darkness that enveloped Mark's past. More victims emerged, their deaths cloaked in the guise of accidents, their ties to him unmistakable in their tragedy. But it was Catherine's voice, carried on the wind of time, that ultimately sealed Mark's fate. Her words, her fears, her unspoken truths echoed in the courtroom, guiding the scales of justice to their inevitable conclusion. And as the verdict rang out, a sense of closure settled over the abandoned house, now a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. The phone, once a portal to the other side, now lay dormant in the evidence locker, a reminder of the voices that refused to be silenced, even in death. In the stillness of the night, as officers patrolled the empty halls, a phantom ring seemed to echo through the air, a ghostly reminder of a young woman's courage in the face of darkness. Catherine's story lived on, not as a tale of hauntings and specters, but as a testament to the power of a voice, no matter how faint, to seek justice in a world that had long forgotten her name. Story 22. The parcel arrived mysteriously, devoid of any clues, no return address, no tracking number. Just a plain cardboard box, faintly damp from the morning mist. It wasn't intended for her, as the name on it did not match hers, though the address was correct. She should have disregarded it, left it untouched on the doorstep, but curiosity beckoned her. Sarah Miller succumbed to its call. She carefully unsealed the box, anticipating mundane contents like books or clothing. Instead, nestled within was an old VHS tape, accompanied by a solitary sticky note with a cryptic directive: watch alone. Sarah held the black plastic cassette in her hands, sensing an unusual weight to it, almost as if it carried the burden of forbidden secrets. Her fingertips lingered on the worn edges, tracing the imperfections of the casing. The handwritten note bore the impression of urgency, each stroke of the pen etched with pressure. Meanwhile, the suburban neighborhood outside her window carried on with its daily rhythm: a distant dog's bark, the laughter of children, the drone of a lawnmower. Oblivious to the enigma that had just entered Sarah's life, she brought the package indoors, placing it on her kitchen counter, uncertainty clouding her mind. The name Daniel Whitaker meant nothing to her. In her 4 years of residence, she had never encountered any mail addressed to that name. The previous occupants, the Johnsons, had long departed to be near their grandchildren. Conflicting emotions warred within her as she eyed her dusty VCR, a relic of nostalgia. There was something about the tape that intrigued her, a mystery shrouded in faded black plastic. Against her instincts, Sarah inserted the tape into the machine. At first, the screen crackled with static, gradually sharpening into focus. A dimly lit room materialized, illuminated by a lone lamp. The camera angle was askew, casting shadows across the face of a man seated in a wooden chair. "My name is Daniel Whitaker," the man's voice, quiet yet resolute, filled the room. "If you're watching this, someone has found you, and that means they'll find me too." Leaning forward, he revealed a visage marred by exhaustion and vigilance, sunken eyes, stubble, unkempt hair. "I am innocent. I need you to believe that. They planted evidence against me. The police report will claim I knew the victim, that we fought, that witnesses heard us argue. None of it is true. I had never met Catherine Walsh until her face appeared on the news." As Daniel adjusted the camera, the room's stark emptiness came into view: bare walls, sparse furnishings, the temporary refuge of a man ready to flee at a moment's notice. "They framed me. My DNA was discovered at the crime scene, though I had never been there before. They made it seem like I was involved with her, but it's all a lie." His voice wavered slightly. "She was murdered in her home, and somehow I became the scapegoat." Detective Eliza Ramirez studied the identical VHS tape on her desk, the fifth one that had surfaced. 5 tapes, 5 recipients, all bearing the desperate plea of Daniel Whitaker, a man accused of Catherine Walsh's murder, a man who had vanished without a trace. The initial investigation into Walsh's death seemed straightforward: a young professional strangled in her own bedroom, with incriminating DNA evidence pointing squarely at Whitaker. Witness sightings and phone records seemed to seal his fate, a closed case until the emergence of the tapes. "The tapes complicate matters," Detective Ramirez murmured into her recorder as she updated her notes. "Whitaker is either orchestrating an elaborate deception or unveiling something far more sinister." Her evidence board displayed snapshots of Walsh, crime scene images too grim to dwell on, maps pinpointing the tape recipients' locations, and at the center, Daniel Whitaker's haunted driver's license photo. His eyes seemed to implore her, silently begging for justice. The investigation took a startling turn when Ramirez unearthed Walsh's involvement in a whistleblower case against PharmaCorp, a pharmaceutical giant with government ties. Walsh had uncovered discrepancies in their drug trial data, revealing a cover-up of severe side effects in a rushed product launch. She was set to testify, a former colleague confided to Ramirez, glancing nervously over his shoulder. Catherine possessed evidence, proof that executives were complicit in hiding the truth. The trial was imminent. Oddities began to surface. The DNA evidence appeared too precise, located in inexplicable spots at the crime scene. Witness testimonies sounded rehearsed, echoing identical phrases across multiple statements, and surveillance footage from nearby buildings conveniently went missing during the crucial time frame of the murder. 3 days after the initial tape, Sarah Miller received a second package. This time, it contained a trove of documents, clinical reports, internal communications, email exchanges, all from PharmaCorp, bearing Walsh's digital signature. Each piece of evidence corroborated her suspicions. Detective Ramirez collaborated with the other tape recipients, unraveling Whitaker's breadcrumb trail. Though he had never met Walsh, his IT security role had granted him access to incriminating information about her surveillance. They were watching her, Whitaker disclosed in a subsequent tape. I saw the orders for monitoring in the system. They knew she was compiling evidence. Then suddenly, I was locked out of the network. The next day, she was dead and I was framed. The breakthrough occurred when Sarah noticed a crucial detail on her tape that had eluded others, a reflection in a window behind Whitaker, revealing a row of storage units. Teaming up with Ramirez, they pinpointed the location. Within Unit 217, they unearthed the truth. Whitaker's journal chronicling the conspiracy, Walsh's original files, and damning blueprints outlining Whitaker's setup, penned by PharmaCorp security, had a former cop with access to evidence protocols. Justice didn't arrive with a grandiose arrest, but through a gradual accumulation of undeniable proof. 3 executives faced indictments. The security chief confessed, bargaining to testify against his superiors. The tainted drug was withdrawn from consideration. Whitaker emerged from hiding, a changed man scarred by his time as a fugitive. Though cleared of charges, the ordeal had left an indelible mark on him. In a brief encounter on her porch, Sarah queried Whitaker, "Why me? Why send it to my address?" His weary gaze met hers. "The algorithm chose you. I needed individuals unconnected to me or Catherine people beyond their surveillance. People who could still trust their instincts when the world deemed me guilty." The erstwhile suspect, an inadvertent witness, lingered in silence, contemplating the thin boundary between truth and manufactured deceit. Finally, Sarah remarked, the wrong address turned out to be precisely the right one. The VHS tapes were cataloged as evidence, tangible reminders that truth could arrive in unexpected packages, bearing unfamiliar names, awaiting the curious souls willing to delve within. Story 23. In the dimly lit attic, tucked away beneath a worn blanket, they stumbled upon it. A porcelain doll, ancient and fragile, its icy blue eyes staring ahead, unblinking. Sarah and Michael, a young couple captivated by the allure of a Victorian house they had acquired, brushed off the doll as just another forgotten relic of the past. As night fell and they retired to bed, an unsettling sensation crept into the air. The stillness seemed to stretch endlessly, wrapping around them like a heavy cloak, and when morning light filtered through the windows, the doll was no longer in the attic. It sat silently at the foot of their bed, a silent watcher in the shadows. Detective Rachel Winters, a meticulous investigator, was summoned on a crisp autumn morning to a scene shrouded in mystery. In the master bedroom, a woman lay in a contorted pose, her eyes wide with terror. Nearby, the man appeared as if caught in a desperate attempt to flee an enigma unfolding within the confines of their own home. Every detail meticulously documented, Detective Winters observed the eerie precision in the victim's positioning, noting the resemblance to dolls carefully arranged in a collection. A sense of unease settled over her as she pieced together the inexplicable puzzle before her. The neighborhood whispered tales of shadows dancing behind curtains and phantom laughter echoing through the empty house, adding layers of foreboding to an already chilling narrative. The forensics team unearthed traces of antique fabrics, reminiscent of doll clothing, scattered around the crime scene, weaving a sinister thread through the investigation. Delving into the house's dark past, Detective Winters uncovered a haunting pattern: previous owners meeting tragic ends under mysterious circumstances, their fates intertwined with the very walls that bore witness to their demise. A newspaper clipping hinted at a dollmaker's tragic tale, his final creation rumored to hold a sinister secret. As the investigation unraveled, a chilling discovery emerged from hidden photographs, revealing the dollmaker's eerie connection to the porcelain doll found by Sarah and Michael. Ghostly handprints etched in invisible ink traced a spectral path from the attic to the master bedroom, hinting at a presence beyond the realm of the living. A distant relative's cryptic revelations shed light on the dollmaker's macabre rituals, blurring the line between the mundane and the supernatural. The veil between worlds grew thinner, casting a shadow of doubt over the tangible evidence at hand. The case took an inexplicable turn as the enigmatic doll vanished from police custody, leaving a trail of unanswered questions in its wake. Detective Winters, caught in a web of inexplicable events, found herself at a crossroads between logic and the unknown, her final actions shrouded in a veil of uncertainty. With the house changing hands once more, a sense of unease lingered in the air, a silent witness to the secrets buried within its walls. The attic, now devoid of the doll's haunting presence, stood as a silent sentinel to a past that refused to be forgotten. And as whispers of a spectral presence lingered in the stillness of the night, a subtle reminder of the mysteries that lay hidden in the shadows, the tale of Sarah and Michael faded into the annals of unsolved mysteries, a ghostly echo of a bygone era. 324. Renovations always unveil the unexpected, old relics, forgotten treasures, a glimpse into the past. But for Sarah and Michael, the discovery beneath their Victorian-era home went beyond the ordinary. As they lifted the floorboards, a delicate letter emerged, hidden for years. Its aged paper whispered secrets, its faded ink a ghostly message: don't trust the one who knocked. Before they could grasp its meaning, 3 sharp knocks pierced the silence, sending shivers down their spines. The house, steeped in history and mystery, had captured their hearts at an estate auction. Ornate details and whispers of the past lured them in, unaware of the darkness lurking beneath the surface. Detective Alina Reed, with her seasoned hands and keen eye, delved into the shadows cast by the unsettling note. The couple's unease was palpable, their innocence apparent in the face of the unknown. The tale of the house unfolded like a forgotten chapter. The Hargrove family, once the guardians of its walls, had left behind a legacy tainted by secrets. Franklin and Margaret, a couple bound by love and tragedy, held a darkness that lingered even after their passing. Franklin, a respected teacher turned recluse, harbored a paranoia that hinted at hidden truths. Margaret's sister, a fragile link to the past, whispered of a debt unpaid, a collector relentless in his pursuit. The man who knocked, the collector, a specter from the shadows of the past, haunted Margaret's final days. Reed's investigation unearthed a grim tableau, a skeleton hidden in the earth, a victim of debts unpaid and sins unforgiven. The truth, like a specter, slowly materialized. Franklin's descent into darkness, Margaret's silent suffering, and the collector's grim fate painted a portrait of tragedy. The house, once a sanctuary, became a prison of secrets and lies. As the case closed, justice found its way through the darkness. Victor Mercer, the enigmatic collector, found peace in death, his bones a testament to a life lived on the edge of morality. Sarah and Michael, unable to bear the weight of the past, let go of the house, its halls echoing with the whispers of the departed. The note, a silent witness to a bygone era, remained a chilling reminder of the fragility of trust. The knocking, a ghostly echo of a past long buried, lingered in the empty rooms, a reminder that some secrets never truly fade away. In the stillness of the night, as the house stood silent and abandoned, the echoes of 3 knocks danced in the shadows, a haunting melody of what once was. Detective Reed, in her final musings, acknowledged the enigma that lingered, a mystery unsolved, a truth obscured by time and memory. And so the house stood as a monument to the past, a silent guardian of secrets untold. Whether the knocks were a trick of the wind or a whisper from the beyond, one thing remained clear. In the heart of darkness, trust was a fragile thread, easily broken by the secrets that lurked in the shadows. Story 25. The worn envelope sat on the detective's desk, its edges tinged yellow with age, yet the stamp still fresh, as if just sent off into the world. With a delicate touch, Detective Sarah Morgan carefully unfolded the envelope, revealing a single sheet of paper inside. The message, typed hastily in an uneven font, simply read, "I am sorry for what I did." A peculiar dampness clung to the paper, carrying with it a faint scent of iron that lingered in the air. It was only upon closer inspection that the detective noticed a reddish smear along the bottom edge, a stark contrast against the white surface. But this was no ordinary stain, it was human blood, and the DNA within matched that of a long unsolved homicide case that had plagued the department for years. The victim, a young journalist named Rebecca Warren, had been found in her apartment, a tragic scene of violence with multiple stab wounds marking her untimely end. Her laptop was missing, her notes strewn across the floor, hinting at a connection between the attack and the story she had been pursuing. Despite tireless efforts and countless dead ends, the case had gone cold. But now, a mysterious letter had found its way to the homicide division, bearing a chilling message of remorse, or perhaps a calculated ruse to mislead. Detective Morgan sealed the letter in an evidence bag, her gloved hands moving with practiced precision, preserving every possible clue. The forensics team confirmed her suspicions. The blood on the letter was indeed Rebecca's, a silent witness to the heinous crime that had gone unpunished for too long. Gathering her team in the dimly lit briefing room, Morgan pinned the letter at the heart of the investigation board, a tangible reminder of the weight of guilt that had found its way to their doorstep. "This changes everything," she murmured to the room, her voice a soft echo in the stillness. "Our killer has shown their hand." Detective James Chen, her steadfast partner in this relentless pursuit of justice, regarded the letter thoughtfully. "Or perhaps they seek to toy with us, to dance in shadows and deceive," he pondered, his gaze fixed on the haunting words before them. As the investigation unfolded, tracing the unique typewriter patterns to a bygone era, the team delved deeper into Rebecca's life. Her fearless pursuit of truth, her determination to uncover corruption, all leading to a wealthy family embroiled in secrets. Interviews with suspects and witnesses unveiled a web of deceit, of hidden agendas and whispered alliances. Rebecca's boyfriend, Michael Barnes, once an anchor of support, now cast shadows of doubt with each passing moment, his demeanor shifting under the weight of newfound revelations. A second letter arrived, bearing the same eerie message, the same chilling bloodstains. and with it a confession of knowledge too dangerous to possess, of truths that had led to tragedy. The path of investigation twisted and turned, leading them to the opulent mansion of the deceased patriarch, where shadows of the past loomed large. In the dim light of truth, the eldest son, Richard, stood as a figure of suspicion, his polished facade cracking under scrutiny. The threads of evidence wove a damning tapestry, linking him to the crime in ways unforeseen. But it was Alina, the youngest daughter, who held the key to unraveling the mystery. Her stationery, her silence, her complicity, all pieces of a puzzle that had long confounded even the most astute minds. A hidden room, a trove of damning evidence, a confession seeping through the cracks of a carefully constructed facade. The truth, like a shadow cast by the setting sun, grew ever closer to the surface. Richard's arrest, Michael's confession, Alina's revelation, the courtroom became a stage where justice danced with the echoes of the past. The weight of guilt bore down upon the accused, their protestations falling upon deaf ears. As Rebecca's parents stood in silent vigil, a sense of closure washed over them, a bittersweet solace in the face of irreparable loss. The blood-stained letters, now silent witnesses to a crime long hidden, stood as a testament to the enduring power of truth. And so the case of Rebecca Warren became a whispered tale, a cautionary fable in the annals of detective lore, a reminder that even the darkest secrets, buried beneath layers of deceit, will one day come to light. And in that moment of reckoning, the shadows retreat and justice, like a beacon in the night, shines bright. Story 26, Whispers of the Past. She felt the urge to transform the nursery before the baby's arrival, a space where faded blue walls held secrets of bygone days within their layers. With each stroke of white paint, a hidden message emerged, faint at first, then stark and distinct. Don't let it hear you. Her heart skipped a beat. Stepping back, she noticed tiny handprints in the fresh paint, too high for a child to reach. This eerie revelation in the Morgan residence nursery marked the genesis of what would later be dubbed the Whispering House case. The young couple, drawn by an unbelievably low price, had acquired the Victorian-style home recently, unaware of its grim past. Detective Sarah Klein, notebook in hand, rang the doorbell of the house. A pregnant woman, her belly pronounced beneath paint-stained overalls, answered. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, evidence of sleepless nights. Trembling, she recounted the discovery of the hidden message and handprints. According to her, the previous owners had departed abruptly, leaving in the dead of night with only essentials packed into their car. The detective, guided by the pregnant homeowner, traversed the aged floors of the historic residence. In the nursery, the unfinished wall bore the cryptic message, a chilling reminder of the past. Next to it, 5 small handprints marked the wet paint, placed at a height unreachable by a child. Back at the precinct, Detective Klein delved into the property's records. The house had changed hands numerous times in 3 decades, with families residing for brief periods. More unsettling were the child welfare reports associated with 3 of these families, detailing paranormal experiences of children within the walls. Further investigation revealed that the house once belonged to Alina Blackwood, a wealthy widow who ran an orphanage on the premises. Newspaper clippings hinted at the disappearance of 5 children under her care, presumed to have run away. During renovations after Alina's passing, a hidden room behind the nursery wall was uncovered. Inside lay children's belongings, but no remains were found. Interviews with former residents unveiled a recurring theme: strange occurrences involving children. Toys moved on their own, Laughter echoed in empty corridors, and mysterious writings appeared on walls. The unsettling messages, discovered during nursery repaints, bore the same warning, penned in Aliner's handwriting. A breakthrough came when the detective persuaded the current owners to allow a scan of the basement. Anomalies beneath the concrete floor hinted at buried secrets. Upon excavation, 5 child-sized sets of remains were unearthed, confirming the tragic fate of the orphans believed to have fled. Luminol revealed a haunting sight in the nursery. Countless handprints, invisible in normal light, adorned the walls. Aliner's journals, recovered from archives, exposed her macabre intentions of using the children's energy for her own longevity. Their scratched warnings on the walls served as a plea for discovery. The case concluded with a proper burial for the victims, acknowledging their true fate. The house, tainted by its dark history, stood deserted as the expectant couple shunned its premises. Detective Klein closed the case, documenting the eerie handprints and hidden message, acknowledging the lingering presence that transcended time and paint. Despite the demolition of the nursery walls, workers reported whispers of children from within the debris, refusing to return after their shifts. The condemned house became a cold case, a physical testament to closure yet harboring unanswered spiritual mysteries. The detective preserved a chilling image, a spectral reminder of crimes etched in the darkness, beyond the reach of fresh paint. Story 27. She always avoided the attic, finding it unsettling, but when a storm led to a leak in the roof, she had no choice but to venture up there. The attic was a realm of forgotten treasures, shrouded in layers of dust and cobwebs. In the shadows of the farthest corner sat an ancient dollhouse, intricately detailed, its minuscule furniture arranged with care. However, as she peered inside, a knot formed in her stomach. The figures within were not dolls, they were delicate, hand-carved replicas of her family. Each tiny figure meticulously placed to mirror the positions of her real family downstairs, except for one. The figure meant to represent her stood by the attic door. Rebecca Morgan gently traced her finger along the roof of the dollhouse, feeling the groove where the small wooden figure stood. A shiver ran down her spine, unrelated to the icy draft that swept through the attic. The dollhouse had no place there. This wasn't the home of her childhood, but a rental property her family had only recently moved into. The unsettling discovery prompted Rebecca to contact the authorities in a state of distress. Law enforcement officers arrived at the suburban house to find a family in turmoil, refusing to return to the upper floors. Detective Sarah Harmon, the lead investigator, initially brushed off their fears as a possible prank or product of unsettled minds adjusting to a new environment. However, it was the intricate attention to detail within the dollhouse that caught her attention. Each miniature figurine captured a unique aspect of every family member: the father's thinning hair, the son's hoodie, even the small birthmark on the mother's hand, Detective Harmon would later recount. The investigation took a dark turn when forensic experts uncovered fingerprints on the dollhouse that did not match any of the family members. Even more chilling were the miniature cameras hidden within the eyes of each tiny figure, all linked to a sophisticated recording system concealed beneath the dollhouse. The scrutiny of the Morgan family's movements revealed an unsettling revelation. The positions of the figures in the dollhouse didn't just mirror where the family had been sitting that night, they replicated exact postures from various days, indicating someone had been observing them long enough to learn their routines. We soon realized this was no ordinary case of stalking, Detective Harmon explained. The The perpetrator exhibited a level of fixation rarely seen in criminal psychology. Further exploration led to the discovery of a concealed entrance to the basement, camouflaged behind a false wall in the pantry. Inside, investigators found evidence of someone living there before the Morgans arrived. Food wrappers, water bottles, and a sleeping bag hinted at an unwelcome guest dwelling beneath the family for weeks. The absence of forced entry puzzled the investigators. Property records disclosed that the house had remained unoccupied for nearly a year before the Morgans' arrival. The former owners, an elderly couple, had both passed away within months of each other. Their son had overseen the estate sale and subsequent rental of the house. Interviews with neighbors provided little insight, except for a mention by one elderly woman who occasionally spotted lights in the house during its vacancy. I assumed it was the real estate agents showing the property, she told investigators. Never did I imagine someone might be residing there without permission. The breakthrough came through digital analysis. Examination of the surveillance feed from the miniature cameras led investigators to a small apartment across town. Inside, the walls were plastered with photographs of the Morgan family and previous occupants of the house. Detailed journal entries chronicled the daily routines of each family member with unsettling accuracy. However, the most disturbing find was a workshop brimming with partially completed dollhouses, each representing different homes in the vicinity. The apartment belonged to Martin Wells, the son of the former homeowners. Financial records indicated mounting debts following his parents' demise. Instead of selling the property, he had crafted a hidden living space, lingering there while collecting rent from unsuspecting tenants. The dollhouse was his command center, elucidated the forensic psychologist assigned to the case. Each figure symbolized someone he monitored. The figure of Rebecca by the attic door wasn't a threat, it was his acknowledgement of her discovery of his surveillance system. During interrogation, Wells remained eerily composed as he elucidated his motives. They were inhabiting my house, occupying my parents' bedroom. I needed assurance that they were showing respect. When questioned about the positioned figures, he merely stated, "I wanted them to understand that I was always watching." Psychological assessments revealed a convoluted case of possessive delusion. Wells struggled to cope with the loss of his childhood home and devised an intricate system to assert control over it. The dollhouse became his means of owning both the property and its inhabitants. The Morgan family never set foot in the house again. Rebecca later reflected on the most haunting moment, realizing the true implications of the dollhouse. Someone had been observing us all this time, measuring our lives, transforming us into mere playthings. The true horror wasn't the dollhouse itself, it was comprehending that in his mind, we were just pawns to be manipulated and watched. Wells faced multiple charges, including stalking, invasion of privacy, illegal surveillance, and trespassing. The case prompted a reevaluation of real estate disclosure laws concerning deaths on properties and the obligations of agents to ensure homes are vacated properly before new occupants move in. During the sentencing, the judge acknowledged the profound violation the Morgan family endured. You didn't just encroach upon their home, you violated their sense of security and independence. You observed their most intimate moments and replicated them for your satisfaction. What baffles criminologists about the case is how long Wells could have gone unnoticed had Rebecca not stumbled upon the dollhouse. Analysis of his journals suggested he had been clandestinely residing in homes for almost 2 years, transitioning from one property to the next, constructing dollhouses for each observed family. The Morgan family eventually found solace in a new residence far from the haunting memories. However, Rebecca admitted in her victim impact statement that she still checks closets and hidden spaces regularly. She removed all dollhouses and miniatures from their new home. "Some days I still sense eyes on me," she confessed. "I often wonder if, somewhere out there, someone is manipulating a miniature version of me in a dollhouse I have yet to uncover."